What is up, everybody, and welcome to the 61st episode of the Pop Culture Corner podcast. We are so happy you're joining us today, and we're so sorry about the delay. Unfortunately, Wonder Meg did have something come up last minute and had to reschedule, but we do have a very special panel set up for you today and some fun topics. But first, as always, we want to thank the members of our channel: Saggy Melons, Benson's, Prakash Swain, DC Talk with Extended, T-Rob, That One Carlos, Resonant Justice, Billy Robert, Nick Carr, John Rodell, Justin Hines, Kinky Sphincter, Caiden Reed, Sean Adame, Nick DePalma, Jack S., Roblox Marvel Ultimate, and Adam Silvestri. Thank you guys so much, and we can't wait to get the show started. Welcome to the Pop Culture Corner Saturday podcast.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Pop Culture Corner. As Austin said, we want to welcome everybody. Thank you so much to our members. Like you said, we had a delay, and Wonder Meg had to cancel, but we will be back with her on Monday. I do want to welcome today's co-host, Austin Lean 316, and the future host of #Lean on Me.
That's right. What's up, everybody? Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Good to see you. As always, I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. I'm just being good. Also, I'd like to welcome the replacement, the one who came in the clutch, who rose up from the ashes and said, I'll fill in the slot for tonight, and I will provide the Pop Culture Corner audience with as much.
Mr. Sacco?
Welcome.
What's up?
Welcome, William. That was the best intro I've ever seen.
He's a busy man.
William, what is going on, my friend?
I'm doing all right.
So the SciFi Center. Can you talk to us a little bit about the SciFi Center and what you do there? What is it all about?
It is basically a science fiction, horror, and fantasy novelty, toys, gifts, T-shirts, comic books, uniforms, movie posters, movie screenings. We do screenings both indoor and outdoor. Right. Just anything loosely to do or associated with science fiction and horror, fantasy. Yeah.
So I know with Las Vegas right now, you guys are really handling the Delta variant, and you guys are having a little bit of an issue. What steps are you taking at the SciFi Center to ensure the safety of your guests?
Well, we have our mask protocol on per the city and per the county. I try to limit the things that we do in here, as far as we don't do screenings in here anymore. We do most of our screenings with our driving capability out here in the parking lot.
That's awesome.
Or we have another outdoor venue that we use, and that's pretty much it. It's just basically trying to make it so that people can keep their space and just wear a mask. Like I said, right now I'm just about after hours, so I don't have my mask on, but if you see me put a mask on or something, that means somebody came to the door.
Right.
So we got up and everything.
And don't worry, we're not going to berate you tonight because we got T.W. McKay and the one, the only, Matt Jarbo in the house. So instead of an interview with Wonder Meg, we got the team. We got the A team in the house. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
I'm doing pretty good.
Jarbo, I'm sorry we had to pull you from your family, but I'm glad you're here.
Well, I might have to dip out for a few to go put the kids down, but
that's okay.
Generally, it's kind of like my night to work on what I need to work on, so that's pretty good.
Love it.
So, although I was just listening to a live stream where people were talking about Star Wars rumors, and they were getting literally everything wrong, and I'm like, sitting back there like, you've got to be kidding me.
Was it the one?
It's the one we were talking about in the group DM.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
I won't say who it is because I'm not trying to call anyone out. But there's a Star Wars channel who has a stream right now with a mutual friend of ours, and they're talking Star Wars rumors, but it's like literally with the dude who was talking about the Black Mirror stuff from the other day, or like the
oh
one
no,
like well, it's not the witch. It was the other guy. But like, I asked him questions, and I'm like, how, he's like, oh, Bob Chapek is fighting back against his adversaries, and I'm like, who are his adversaries? Where's this information coming from? Oh, well, it's not listed in any article, but he was just talking about Bob Chapek in a Forbes article, And so it's like it's wishy-washy on the info. Drives me up the wall.
Oh my Lord. It seems like okay. Is it just me, or is it always like the Star Wars rumors that get everyone going?
Yeah. Oh, it's been that way.
Is it just me, or is it like is it just the Star Wars? Like you can throw a DC rumor, like the Flash or whatever. You can throw it out there, and people are like, all right, it's possible.
People will be arguing Star Wars for the next.
But with the
years.
Star Wars rumors, it's like it's just one side or the other. But
great.
I mean, Jarbo and I spoke about this the other night. Jarbo introduced me to a certain streamer, and I mean, there are some just plain absolute nonsense streamers out there.
There are what it boils down to are the people who live and die by the fake news that they have to spread. And this isn't like the Snyder Cut stuff, because as much as we'll disagree about certain facets of it, about where things are going, we all still generally want it to go ahead in the same trajectory.
Yes.
However, it's just like, it's always about the financials. This stuff is about like internal politics. I mean, they were going off on a conversation the other night about literally using remote viewing to look in Kathleen Kennedy's office to see what was going on, to gain insight into what the inner workings of Star Wars. It's remote viewing. So I guess, I mean, like, I would be using it for much better things and arguably more nefarious things.
So, but the audience, when you say remote viewing, the audience automatically thinks like I'm watching it on my TV. Can you explain what remote viewing is, just so our audience knows?
Well, it's kind of like, imagine you close your eyes, right? And we all dream. We all have dreams where we float around and we're bodiless and whatever.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Remote viewing in this case is using it. Well, the tool that this person described that they were using was something called a Black Mirror, not the Netflix series Black Mirror, but this is a polished obsidian glass mirror where he is able to channel his energy and to put it through the mirror in order to broadcast his consciousness to wherever he may need to be. Think Nightcrawler from X-Men. Very similar. That's the concept here. Is he looks in the mirror and he's like, Kathy Kennedy's office, Kathy Kennedy's office. And somehow magically he's transported from wherever he might be to wherever her office might be, whether that's at the production studio house in Los Angeles or Skywalker Ranch up there in Maricopa County. Not Marin County, not Maricopa, Marin County. Wherever it might be. And then he was all like, I looked in her office and what I saw was Jon Favreau taking meetings.
It just doesn't.
And it's like,
it's just like,
okay.
It's like, couldn't you be? Oh God.
That's kind of creepy, actually. Yeah.
That was a fantastic stream that you two were on. I think I was in
Like
chat for that.
Yeah, like I said, so we're starting a podcast network, and in one of the podcasts, I'm still like fighting with Jarbo to start it. Is just me and him talking about.
Dear God.
Just me and Jarbo, and we're just going to be talking about things that are going on.
We're going to get canceled so quick.
So quick. It's going to be
so quick.
We're going to get 3 episodes in, and it's going to be over. But it's going to be.
You could call it as like a reference to there's an old I think it was an old like children's horror program. You could use like a reference to that. Call it The Dark Corner, like like Hollywood After Dark and Pop Culture Corner.
Ooh,
The Dark Corner.
With the names. Lean on me. The Dark Corner.
I like it.
Love it.
But hey, guys,
it wasn't a show. It wasn't a show. I remember now. It was like a horror block that they had on like a television channel that I had up here.
Yeah. I just do want to shout out to the Movie Dogs. That guy, so much support, and shout out to Roblox. Roblox is doing a lot. So that little beginning intro thing, Roblox, one of our new faithful viewers, Roblox, made that. He made that little intro. That was just like he did that in like 30 seconds. He also asked me to take some props, like my shield, my Thor hammer, and look, he's making something else for us now. It might be coming soon. So
That's pretty dope.
yeah,
Nice.
he's and dude, he's talented, guys. And anyone listening,
You have the Green Hulk one that he did of me.
yeah, anyone listening, you guys can can head over to our Instagram. Head over to our Instagram and check out the pictures that I'm showing now. But shout out to Roblox. He's so awesome. And he's been collecting. He made me do some. I was embarrassed doing some poses in my room with Thor hammers and shields. And I was alone taking pictures of myself, and I was just like, "What is going on? What am I doing?" But at least Austin did it with me, so we're cool. We're cool.
Exactly. Also, shout out DL. What's up, dude? Saw you pop in here.
Guys?
What's good?
How you doing, man? Good to see you as always.
Good to see y'all.
Dude, I love the shirtless vibe that you're giving off tonight. It's
Is
just
it
like
shirtless? It's just a.
well, no, you know what it is. A sleeveless is what I meant. Sleeveless. Is what I meant.
Yeah, you gotta show up
Sleeveless.
guns. Gotta show up
We're-
guns.
Guns out, boys.
Yeah, we're
Exactly.
showing up. We're showing that it's Saturday, and we're chilling and we're relaxing. But guys, so CinemaCon wrapped up. CinemaCon, in my mind, an absolute dud. Aside from 1 to 2.
Aside from Monday. Monday was great.
Yeah, aside for 3 things, CinemaCon in total, as an outsider, was a dud. We got the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, guys. After the leak, what did you guys think of the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer? We'll go in order from top to bottom. So, Austin, what did you think of Spider-Man No Way Home trailer? And did it impress you? Did it exceed your expectations, or did it kind of meh?
It definitely excited me. I mean, look, I think the main drive of this film is obviously going to be seeing all the other characters that aren't the MCU characters, which is terrible. That's a, William makes a great point always that's terrible. That's a selling point. But also look, I grew up with those Spider-Man films, so I like to see Doc Ock and, Green Goblin and some of these characters that are going to be coming back, Andrew and Toby. I definitely look forward to that.
Yeah, for sure. William, what did you think?
I just pretty much went down the same road I knew they were going.
And thank you for becoming a member.
I thought I was already one.
Woo!
I like the interpretations of all these characters that are being teased or that were built in the movies that they came up in. I would love to see Tom Holland go against the Green Goblin, but one that they bring in to fit his character and the storyline that they're telling for them. The relationship between Spider-Man and his enemies is really intimate, and there's a real connection there, for each of the ones that have played him. And to me, it's somebody else's Green Goblin, it's somebody else's Doc Ock, and it's just playing a little bit on the nostalgia. Now it'll be successful, but once again, I just wish that I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I think that there's just a dimension of his character that they continue to miss on as far as because it doesn't fit the needs of them. Their goal is to tell the overarching story of the MCU. That's Spider-Man's point of view character is secondary to that. So that's a little bit. That's what I had on that one. But like I said, as far as getting excited for it, it didn't move the needle for me either way. I'm already going to go see it as soon as it comes out. So the trailer didn't really, push me over the edge either way.
Right. And I totally understand that. That's honestly that's kind of where I'm at as well. DL, what did you think?
I don't feel like I really need to say anything because William is pretty much saying exactly how I feel. I've talked about this before on my channel, and we talked about this before on a previous stream, but I'll just reiterate again. Let me pull out these again. For people that think I'm not a fan, look at this. You got all three movies.
I love it.
Look at that.
Yeah, but it's not in 4K, DL. It's not in 4K. So you're fronting at this point, man. You got that off in the bargain bin. It ain't 4K. Come on.
DL got caught slipping. Oh, jeez.
Let me tell you something. 4K ain't that big of a deal. I'm telling you that right now. These are
you're actually not wrong.
These are good quality, man. But anyway, but yeah, like I saw the trailer and I was lukewarm about it. It's not bad, but it didn't blow me away. And very similar to how William feels. I feel like there should be more time to develop Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and it just feels very abrupt that he's just being dropped into these multiverse and Avengers type situations, and I feel like it's going to take away from his development because we're also focused on villains and other Spider-Man from other movies. So it's like, is it really going to feel like a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, or is it just going to feel like a multiverse prequel with a bunch of fan service? So I don't know. I'm still cautiously optimistic. I'm going to go see it opening weekend, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm not expecting too much at this point. I don't know.
Heard. All right. Well, let's change the aspect then. If everyone kind of thinks the same thing, guys, do you think there's something wrong with Doctor Strange?
I don't think it's Doctor Strange, but that's just a theory. That's just a
Jarbo, I know you got some hot take like sitting in your brain.
No, I get it. Like, I think that there something wrong with him. Yeah. Well, that wig is definitely like
that's the thing that's wrong with it.
What do you mean the wig
is causing him to act like
he's got a wig.
What?
He's in the shot of him in front of the fireplace. He clearly has a wig on.
You're saying that's not his real hair?
I'm saying if you go and look at the other shots of him when they're doing the spell, that's his natural hair. Like there's a wig in that shot.
It's Mephisto.
So why would that matter?
Oh, it doesn't. It's something that I just noticed.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean like it's like people thought because of the cavalier nature of Doctor Strange, him saying like, oh yeah, Peter, it's totally okay. I'll totally cast this dangerous spell. Don't worry about it, buddy. I got you. Love you. And because there's that line there, like he's like, when Peter says, "Sir," and he goes, "Sir, we saved half the universe together." Right. And it's like, all right, but that again is not. That didn't really feel like something that Doctor Strange would say. Right.
Right.
And then backed up by the whole notion of like, okay, Steven, that part was funny because like, oh, I'll allow it. That part felt like him, but it's a little bit weird, but it's also like, look, the expectations were so high for this trailer. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
They were so high. It's like, you're either going to be super impressed or you're going to feel kind of let down.
Yeah. No, 100.
I was in the middle. I was just right in the middle. And plus we don't know the full context of the story. So I always preface when you're looking at trailers, I mean, there's so much, especially when you see the movie, when it finally releases after I've gotten hyped up by a trailer, I see how they engineer the trailers to pique certain emotions. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. There's so much of the story that we don't know at this point. We know the premise, but we don't know the context of what all these things that we saw come into. So
exactly. And TW, what are your thoughts before we move on to like DCEU stuff?
I'm hyped for the trailer. It would be funny if it was like after all of the it's Mephisto to finally actually have it be him. I think would be funny, but at the same time you're also inching very, very close to One More Day, which I know a lot of Spidey fans get real nervous about when you talk about. But I'm still definitely I'm gonna go see this thing, and I was very hyped. I was over on our friend RJ's stream. He was doing a trailer breakdown and reaction to that, and you can watch us kind of lose our collective minds and whatnot over there. That was pretty fun.
Yeah,
nice.
We were up on Monday and we covered the whole CinemaCon thing. So like we obviously like we had the trailer like literally like on the moment it came out, and I think it was more emotion. Like it was like the build up for it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then the trailer, it was a 3-minute teaser. And was it really a teaser if it's 3 minutes long, or was it just a trailer?
It didn't show us much. It didn't tell us anything.
It was
right.
It was a story trailer. It was a story trailer, is what it was.
Exactly. So my question is, in every single shot that we see, there's no snow, there's no winter, there's no nothing. Why is the Sanctum Sanctorum frozen over? The devil does burn cold. Something's wrong with Doctor Strange, clearly. Maybe Mephisto is making an appearance. Maybe they're setting it. Maybe not even Mephisto, but maybe they're setting up a character for Doctor Strange too.
What if it's hell froze over?
Well, they are the beacons of the spiritual realm, right? The Sanctum Sanctorums. They're the castles that defend. Like they're the pivotal pieces. They include the masters, sorcerers that protect us from all things spiritual, right? So that would be ground zero for whatever happened. Why is it frozen over like that in that scene? And it just didn't make sense to me because in everything else we see in the trailer, there's no snow. It's not winter. It's more October-y. So it just threw me off. It did. So I think there's something there that we're not seeing. And that's just me.
Possibly. It's very
I'm
possible.
just over here being like, why don't we just wait and watch the movie?
There's just too much. That's not what we can't see. That'll put those pieces together as it gets.
I'm getting PTSD every time I hear someone say Mephisto. Like, I want to really
Mephisto confirmed.
I hear Mephisto. It's like, watch it not be him, and everyone's going to be disappointed. And I'll be like, I told y'all, it's not Mephisto.
It's not. Shout out to Roblox Marvel Ultimate for the $5 super chat. Tell me to look at the Discord. He made Austin as Iron Man. I'll definitely check that out. Right now we're getting into it. So, guys, tonight we were really gonna. It was Wonder Meg, so we're gonna talk DC. I really did have the question, and it was I was gonna talk to her about like what she thought about the Flash movie and where we're headed in the DCU, the direction. Would the Snyderverse be able to continue on HBO Max if the movies took a different direction? So maybe we could get into a conversation about that. Does anyone have any thoughts?
I got plenty, but who wants to go first?
I want William to go first, so then I can just prove him wrong.
Okay.
No, I did not bring my Jarbo Wrongometer here today.
No, because here's the thing: it doesn't exist.
No,
it doesn't exist.
It's blown up. The last
it's
time
blown up for me being right.
Yeah, right.
All the time.
One night you were like the David Bowie of being wrong.
Oh, whatever. Nothing I've said has come wrong. Just saying. Nothing I've said so far has come out as wrong.
I was going to show this picture too, but yeah, that's.
Wait, anyway,
sorry. Did I hear someone say boobies?
Stop it!
That's gonna get clipped.
Oh my god! But I like that cosplay as Scarlet Witch. No, but moving on.
Very nice.
Why, Jarbo?
I don't know. You invited me here. You know what you're gonna get.
Right.
I want to move this stream to later hours.
You brought me here.
This is my day off. This is my day off. So.
No. But William, what are your thoughts on where the DCEU is headed with the Flash movie? With all these reports coming out, the Flash. Do you think? Because in my mind, I feel like Warner Brothers wants to Days of Future Past the DC universe. Kind of keep what they want, throw out what they don't want, and move the movies in a direction that they feel comfortable with. Kind of
the
like
problem is with them doing that. See, here's the biggest thing that they got going against them right now is nobody's gonna care. They've made it too easy for people to approach I'm not just talking about hardcore guys like geeks like me, maybe you. I'm talking about they've made it easy for the general audience just to dismiss, the 1%ers. Okay. But they've made it real easy to just dismiss their product.
Okay.
With the Suicide Squad, the Batman, all these things are going on, and it's more like when I talk to people about them, it's apathy. It's like it's in the conversation, but it's not being driven in the manner that you would need to sell a comic book franchise. And when you talk about the Flash, when you talk about, like I was telling you before, okay, we have a Batman movie coming up, right?
Right.
Well, you know what? I just talked to somebody today, asked them, what do you think about Robert Pattinson as Batman? They're like, wait a minute, wasn't Ben Affleck Batman? And this is just a general person who wasn't the hardcore geekdom guy like this. And that's what's happening amongst the general audience is that they haven't really laid out a path to keep people's attention or to care about. And it's going to hurt their movies going forward, no matter how good the movies are. I liked Suicide Squad. And I know a lot of people say, well, HBO Max cut into it. Maybe it did, but a lot of it is because they've done so much brand damage to their product. It just makes it so easy for people to say, "Oh yeah, I might see that." Whereas Spider-Man or any of this stuff that you see these guys putting out, you see the feeling of anticipation because they've organized it. You know, the difference between Marvel and DC is not necessarily the content; it's the management. And everything that these guys are doing going forward doesn't seem like a cohesive plan. It's them throwing shit up against the wall. Sorry, that's
Nope, it's good.
and hoping that, is that going to stick? You know, and that's all the Flash movie is for me right now. I have faith in Anthony Muschietti, but at the same time, the overall plan where these movies fall into is something that's easy not to care about.
Right. No. So, Jarbo, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, he's actually right on this one. So, no, it really is a management issue. No, it absolutely is a management issue. They've gone through it feels like multiple regimes in the past like 4 or 5 years. We're coming up on the third one here in 2022, and nothing really feels like it's kind of concrete. And I know people out there will argue back against cinematic universes and whatnot, like, oh, we don't need them. No, you absolutely do in this day and age. They just have to be well thought out.
Right, but we've seen with DC, we've seen that things like the Joker, right, that don't necessarily exist in that universe, they still do work.
That's an aberration. Here's why. Well, there's a lot of things that led to the Joker. I remember, like I told you before, when we were promoting the Joker, I had to sit through a little conference call on how we were able to give away tickets and the security. We had to make sure this is the only screening where you had to have your ID with you to the screening. There were dogs there at AMC. This wasn't.
There were dogs there. Oh, because of that was like security stuff.
There was a perceived, because of what happened in 2012 or 13 with The Dark Knight Rises, that a Joker movie was going to bring out the wackos and everything else. But even still, let's say with Aquaman, you can have some movies that are standalone do a billion, but your overall plan of success when it comes to comic book movies, it literally has to be some kind of interconnectivity, or else it's not must-see movie watching. And I'm going to give you an example. Black Widow. Black Widow is a lost episode type of situation. A lot of what hurt Black Widow is because there's nothing. It's not put into context with anything else that they were really doing. And the opposition to that is was Captain Marvel a great movie? No, but it was put into the context of their overarching story, and that's where their success was with that. And with DC, it's just no reason for me to walk out of Suicide Squad instead of talking with my buddies about, wow, what's next? What's next with DCEU? It's like, oh, I heard there's a Batman coming out. Or maybe, oh, I don't know what they're doing. If the conversation even goes that far, they have given me no reason to leap into their next thing because we don't even know what their next thing is.
No, you're 100% right, because I've been saying that forever. And literally, I can't count how many streams I've said that on. Is the problem with DC is that you're absolutely right. With Marvel, I know what I'm getting for the next 3, 4, 5 years, and I know kind of where the direction of the story might be going. That's where like fan theories can come in, and you can have fun with it. But with DC, it's such a mess, and it's like, cool, yeah, we know we're getting Black Adam, we know we're getting the Batman. We know we're getting the Flash, and they all potentially are in different, separate timeline bullshit, like alternate Earths. It's like it's so hard to you're right. It's hard to get excited when you don't know exactly what you're expecting next. I agree with you. Dial, so what do you think about the current regime of Warner Brothers? Someone's got like this ringing in their microphones. Really,
I'm gonna hit my mute button and see if it's me.
All right.
I don't.
Nope, it's not you.
All right.
It is like silent in mine, so I don't.
Everyone mute their. It's not me, but like everyone
mute up, and then we'll.
Okay.
Is it Austin? I think it's Austin.
It's Austin. Come back, Austin.
Yeah,
it's me.
Check that your input's coming in through the headset and not coming in through the camera mic.
Okay, let me see.
It's possible that got messed around.
But while he's doing that, it was literally like it was distracting me.
Yeah, it's feedback. Is what it was.
Yeah, I have like super OCD, and it was getting getting to me. I'm sorry. Sorry to stop the conversation like that.
Oh,
But Diao, what do you think of the current regime of DC and Warner Brothers and what they're trying to do with this multiversal take on their characters?
As far as the regime, it's a circus. It's a straight up circus. I don't know how to feel about their plan. If you really want to that.
Well, that's what the cinematographer said.
Yeah,
That
What do
it
you
doesn't
mean?
feel well. The cinematographer came out and said that it doesn't feel like a comic book movie. It feels like a. I'm paraphrasing, but my interpretation was that it feels like a real film.
Wow.
You know,
I don't know how to take that. Wow.
So a movie about the Flash going back in time to save his mother from being killed and change the future feels more like a real movie than a comic book movie.
Well, I don't think he's going to go back in time to save his mom. I know they're going to mention it. I think it's going to be. I think that's a bit of a fake out. I think the whole thing with Nora is going to be from the beginning of the movie. That we're going to get like his origin, so to speak, in the beginning of the film. But I don't, because if they send him back, then it's Flashpoint, and they've been very adamant that it's not Flashpoint.
Well, it could be okay.
But what I think
Look who's telling you this. It's
I'm just saying. No, look, they're hinting at Flashpoint. I know they wanted to do Flashpoint at some point in time,
but you can't really have Flashpoint without Cyborg. So
and they probably could.
they could, but
they
it
could
wouldn't
do
be a
anything they
good
want.
adaptation.
Yeah. Well, they
Well, I'm
could
not
have had
saying it because of
Cyborg,
a-
but that's all I'll say about that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying because of a Ray Fisher
First
thing either.
Flash.
Because if you read Flashpoint, one of the major changes that occurs in the Flashpoint universe is that Cyborg is effectively the Superman of the Flashpoint universe.
Yes.
As far as his omnipresence in society and his sort of being the ideal that people strive towards, to paraphrase Man of Steel. So I understand that, and especially because of the multiverse aspect. We're seeing Keaton's Batman, we're seeing Batfleck, the Supergirl might be from another universe beyond those two.
Yeah.
Flashpoint never went outside of the Flashpoint universe and the continuity it left behind and the continuity it created once it was over. Well, even though I'm not going down the rabbit hole of what actually created the New 52, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. So
I
the whole
just,
thing was a mess. The whole
well,
thing.
let's be fair. Let's be fair here. We're gonna have 3 Batmen on screen within 6 months of each other, 7-8 months of each other next year.
Yes.
And that's going to be so much brand and marketing and merchandise confusing that a lot of people are just, I think, going to kind of check the hell out. Like, didn't I already see a Batman movie earlier this year? There's another one, but it's a different actor. Wait, Keaton and Affleck? Who was that other guy? Twilight Sparkle guy? What am I watching here?
right.
See, that's their fault.
But we have to remember. So my point, like way back when. So back when DC fandom, the original happened, they came out and said that you as a fan, you as a consumer, you as a stakeholder, you're going to be able to have your Batman, your Superman, your Aquaman. You'll be able to have your characters, your Justice League, because we're going to do the multiverse. And you're going to be able to pick and choose everyone. If you don't like this Batman, you can like this Batman. If you don't like this Superman, you can get this Superman. But the Snyderverse is the only superhero list we cannot choose from, right? We can't have that Snyderverse because it's a what do they call it?
A cul-de-sac?
A cul-de-sac,
yeah.
right? We can't.
Which is what
why-
any alternate universe could be. I mean,
Right,
that was fun.
Well,
Think
pocket
about this
universes are a thing,
multiverse.
and they've been talking about pocket universes.
But why
Yes.
couldn't? Why not? As a company, why you see the faith, you see the passion, and I know Jarbo. I know. Trust me, we've talked about it.
I
But
get in so much trouble.
why can't we have it? Why is it? Why, as a company looking in at it, why wouldn't you do it profit wise?
Because you wouldn't make profit.
Why? How do you think that?
Here's the thing. He's sort of right there. But here's the problem. The answer to your question, once again, is the answer to the last question, is bad management. And it's also lack of a brand extension as far as having people that understand the IPs and understand the effect that the IPs are going to have on the audience and where they fit with each of these platforms that they have. When you're talking about the streaming reality, profit isn't always – okay, profit is important, but not necessarily in the old ways that we've talked about. So the old ways is, okay, if I spend a certain amount of money on a movie, it has to make a certain amount of money back or I start firing people. Now, when you're talking about trying to create a streaming universe, you're not just talking about what you're spending. You're talking about the overall value, something that adds. So if I have Jarbo, a movie about Jarbo, right? And I'm gonna do a franchise about Jarbo, and I decide I'm gonna spend a certain amount of money on it. Now, in the box office, if I spend $150 million on Jarbo Mania, I got to make my money back, and plus my investors and everything else. But if the goal is to enhance my streaming content to maintain my subscribers, which is the focal point of the company, now that's a different conversation. Because now you see streaming companies spending lots of money that they're not going to earn back outright, but they will earn back an overall value of their IP and their streaming services. So what they're doing, what they said at Fandom, was the right way to go. They just mismanaged it. Because you can do these things. You already have all your platforms in place. You have CW, you have HBO Max, and you have your theaters. They can do this if they knew what the hell they were doing. If somebody else was running that division of DC Comics as far as their film division, it could work out. Like if you had a Feige, if you announced this Elseworlds concept like they did back then, and you had anybody but the people that they currently have running it could work. You could work to the point where you're not saturating. You could space out these projects. You can have several Batmans happening at times as long as you've made your brand distinction and your brand loyalty. They're not doing that. Multiverse to them is just a term, a cop-out term they're using to say, we messed up here. We don't want to answer for this here. We want you to pay attention to this. Don't look over there. Nothing to see there. That's
I disagree with you, though, about that. Even with proper planning, you're still overlooking people's inability to juggle more than 6 things at once. All right, like attention spans are lower now than ever before. People don't know all what's going on. You have your hardcores who pay attention, obviously. But again, if the average person, let's say in Oklahoma, who might go and watch these projects, goes to the theater and he's like, wait, who's Batman? Who's Superman? Why is there a black guy here? I have no idea what's going on. It causes confusion. And the moment you have confusion, you've lost the audience. Whereas Marvel's like, hey, you like this guy in a movie 10 years ago? We're going to keep him around and give him a show and bring him into more things. And they're going to get the consistency, and that consistency breeds loyalty because it becomes must-see TV.
Well, so does communication, though. The problem there is not what the plan. The problem is that they've done a horrible job in selling things to their audience, to where any plan that they do, nobody believes them. Nobody has faith in them. They could pull this off, but nobody has faith. And the confusion comes from the fact that they just throw things out there. There's no connective tissue to anything. So yeah, your audience member is sitting out there on a raft in the middle of the ocean because they haven't done anything to connect anything to anything else. That's their fault. That's their problem. That's until they fix that, no plan that they come forth with is gonna. These things that they're doing with these new movies, and I hate to say it because some of these movies are gonna be really good. I got a feeling that the Batman's gonna be great, but they've undercut themselves to the point where, like you said, why am I going to this movie? I just spent 7 some odd years invested in one Batman that never got a resolution. That faded away, and now here's a new one. So you're going to sell me something new when you never finished selling me the previous product. That's There's a communication problem with that DC has. They could pull off multiple things if you communicate them right. And you are
even with communication, even with proper communication, people have you're still like you're giving the audience way too much credit. You really are. And it's like where we are right now, where we have been since the MCU began in 2008, it's consistency. It doesn't matter about the messaging. If the consistency isn't there on any front, that's the problem here. And I know you made mention of
you need that too.
Obviously DC has made very big mistakes on that one, and they probably should have scrapped the Flash after the Batman went into production. They probably should have, or completely get rid of it. Because if it's not connected, then people aren't going to care.
Standalone Flash movie without Batman. How about that?
Well, because I'm just going to, again, to general audiences, no one cares about the Flash. to general audiences, and I'm including the show, and I like the show, but the show still only averages about 1.3 million people.
But
that's
it did
not
get more people interested.
It
in the
got
general
more, yes,
content.
but then again, the quality level of the show went to shit. Sorry,
It did.
hell.
No, it did. It did. No,
And that's also going to lose
absolutely
people.
right.
That's
You're
going to lose
absolutely
people. But when it comes to the top tier in regards to earnings in theatrical box office, your money is on Wonder Woman, Batman, or Superman. That's it. Aquaman did good because of China. Shazam tanked and burned in between Captain Marvel and Endgame, which is unfortunate because it's a better movie than Captain Marvel.
100% better.
The
movie.
Joker did well because of the controversy surrounding it. Had that
Surrounding it.
controversy not hit, that movie would maybe have done 600 million tops. Right? Because the thing is, it's one you watch, but it's not one you go back and you rewatch multiple times.
Yeah, I
think-
honestly I have not watched that movie more than twice.
But I think
Likewise.
it's the fact that like the DC
Well-
movies they made that weren't Batman and Superman, they weren't the quality of those Batman and Superman movies. So that's why people didn't care as much. If they actually made well-written films, I think people would give a damn about
Well,
the Flash.
well, hold on. Let me. Well, hold on. Let me
Iron
ask.
Man, who gave a shit about
Let
Iron
me-
Man when that came out. You know, the movie was a well-made film, but nobody gave a shit about Iron Man before it came out. So we can't have this mindset being like no other DC hero.
No,
can
I'm not saying don't make the stuff. I'm not saying don't make a Flash movie. All right, I'm fully for a Flash film. Give me Grant Gustin. I think Ezra sucks. Give me Grant Gustin.
And I'm like,
Well,
fuck Grant
give me a
Gustin.
new
I like
person. I
Ezra
can't
more.
watch Grant Gustin.
Hey, what's up,
Somebody knew
Jason? I know TW had a comment on branding that he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, well, it's really minor, and I think it's just because of the fact that when it comes to the multiverse, I think the one thing that they should do that should have been done when it comes to branding and marketing is, especially for DC, Marvel doesn't really have this problem with the MCU because they've had so much time to build it up, is establish what is effectively their prime continuity, and then anything that takes place outside of it can have some sort of branding to it that actually that dignifies that this is in another world. Like in DC could use Elseworlds. Marvel, you could just put like Marvel Multiverse or something on there and use that.
But see, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was with Ty. I think you have what you have you have your CW things, whether you like it or not, it's there. You have your cinematic stuff, and you have your stuff that's going to be on HBO Max. I personally, like I said, for what it's worth, I would take those distinct universes and brand them. I would use the Whedon cut of Justice League as this. Hold on, and here's where I'm going.
You're
I would
gonna
use
say
that
something people don't like. I can tell.
as your starting point for your cinematic stuff, because I think a lot of the problem with the content I want to watch is it's R-rated, and you don't always do as well with R-rated superhero movies and cinematic. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But the law of averages says you cut your audience in half, especially if it's over the top stuff, like a Suicide Squad, or there's gore, there's violence, things like that. You cut your audience in half. So if you want something like they're looking like they want all the time, tame stuff, put that on your big screen. Give me the opportunity to see if I want to. Your CW stuff has a distinct demographic. It's not me, but there's somebody out there that's watching it.
And it's dwindling because they keep canceling shows.
Yeah, and that's another topic too.
They
Well, do you think
no,
I
it's
think
mismanagement.
it's the Netflix effect, right? Like,
Well, it's
now
the quality
that-
effect. They need to blow up the CW and start again around.
Well, that's
in my
what I'm-
opinion, around Tyler Hopeman.
well,
But-
that's what I'm saying though. Is
Yeah.
I think they're starting to realize like we have a much better platform in HBO Max. Like, we don't need the CW.
Well, no,
anymore.
I still think they should keep it. Here's the thing. So you have these
But
three
why?
houses.
Too kind of
But
convoluted.
that's fine. You have these three houses and you brand them differently. The kind of content you can put on HBO Max.
Hey, I'll be right
is-
back.
Is the kind of content that would be the over the top stuff. That would be the Suicide Squad stuff and the Snyderverse type stuff. The type of stuff that you put on the CW once it's rebuilt into something that's cohesive is going to fit a different demographic. So, and you brand those. You brand those just like you do the Game of Thrones houses. You know, what universe is yours? You determine, okay, so your DC Max universe is HBO Max, and then your Prime universe is the movies, and then you name your other one, and you literally come up with symbols for each of these things, and you give people their roads to follow. Now, most people, when you do that and you show an organized front, people are going to follow them all out of curiosity. But right now, the disorganization with all these platforms and all these things already in place, the disorganization is bad. Nobody cares about the movies, but they're not connected to anything. So establish that Justice League theatrical release is your starting point for any of this other stuff in that confusion. Have HBO Max break off, use the Flash movie to break off a pocket universe for that. Whether you go forth with anything Snyderverse or not, but the type of tone that you really can't put into the theaters and expect to have it, wide appeal, you can still put on HBO Max because that demographic is the same people that are watching Sopranos, Game of Thrones, all kinds of violence, TNA, and gore. That audience fits that. And then you have your audience. You can find a way to please all your audiences. You just have to be organized and manage it. But right now, they're just not. That is the biggest. Everything comes back to disorganization and mismanagement because you have the wrong people in the positions. You really need to switch out these people and get people that are better, have history of organization, history of production value, and history of public relations and knowing what their fans want. But right now, these people just aren't them.
Do you think this merger is going to help?
Yeah, because once again, the goal, the old way of thinking was the box office was king. And right now, if you do the math, so say, for instance, your goal is to get, if you're a streaming company or you want what, 40, say your goal is to get 50 million minimum, right? So if you're charging $12 a month and you get those 50 million, you do the math there, you're pulling in quite a bit a month. So what that does is that extends your budgets and things that you want to do, because once again, you're adding value. The math becomes different because it's not about, I have to make this money back in a certain way. I have to add value to my streaming service to keep these 45 to 50 million people on here. And if I do that, I'm pulling in $7 billion a year? You're pulling in $12 billion a year. Right. So that math is going to trump that. So, but if you see the CEOs that are taking over these companies, they're not the old Hollywood types. So I don't see Emmerich, and once his contract's up, I don't see him staying there because he's old Hollywood. All these guys are old Hollywood, and you see it kicking and screaming. We're being dragged into the streaming era.
Yeah, and what is considered successful is changing, right? Yeah. Because, like you said, box office is no longer king because these movies are whether it's day and day debuts or this or that. What is considered successful is now not based on box office return. It's based on like how many households view it, and you already have the money coming in from subscriptions monthly. So, it really is. It's
retention. Retention is a key word. You're going to hear that a lot in the next couple of years. Yeah. Is retention of subscribers, especially for the people who are not Netflix, because Netflix has them. Netflix gets covered, but for the Disneys and the Apples and all these guys are they're going to want to maintain their subscribers. And so when you look at it in that context, the money that they're spending, things being excluded because, we can't spend that kind of money on it. That no longer is the sole reason why something may or may not get made, or while something is a bust. Whereas before, like I said, Suicide Squad, what probably would have been, it would have done okay, but it's a $185 million movie that has to draw most of its success at the time because it was produced and made, before all this really hit. A lot of Black Widow, all these movies were being made pre-pandemic, but movies that are being made afterward are going to be made post-pandemic with those budgets in mind.
Yeah, no, you're.
So the merger, answer your question. The merger will help because, like I said, I think Zaslav is going to put people in place that fits the mission that he put out. I mean, when he first started talking, there's a mission statement that he has where he wants to take the overall company, and it's not consistent with old Hollywood.
Yeah, no, and by the way, shout out. I know it's Eddie's birthday. Happy birthday, man. We sing for members. I don't want to interrupt the stream and make everyone sing happy birthday, but I would do it.
Happy birthday.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do that for members, and we do that special kind of stuff. But happy birthday, Eddie Evolution. I hope you have a great day. I'm glad you're here and celebrating with us. So, no, I think the merger is going to do. I think. But so his comments specifically when he's talking, when the merger was announced, was about mending burned bridges. Austin, what do you think about that comment specifically? And he does the first IPs he brings up are Batman and Superman.
For me, that was like the first bit of hope, I guess. That I guess you could say that things might change. Look, we still don't know. This guy does seem to have much more of a handle on working with people. It just kind of seems like WB just doesn't like money, at this point, and so that's how it feels, and either they don't like money or they have a vendetta against somebody, and it kind of feels like so. I do think that this guy Zaslav will, hopefully see all all the comments and all everything that W's been through, even with social media, the last couple of years online, and see that there's an audience for it, there's a market for it. I'm more with what William said. Look, I think to appease the general audience, if you're going to be doing things in theaters, you're probably going to want the PG-13 type. But for me, I'd like to see it go on HBO Max and have that more adult, more mature storytelling there, and it's a great way for them to market their streaming service, which is nowhere near Netflix, Amazon, or even Hulu right now.
I want my decapitations, man. Give them to me.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, the thing is like content like Titans, content like Doom Patrol, content like Swamp Thing. That's what audiences really, really want right now. They don't want content like The Flash or Supergirl or Black Lightning was actually pretty good. I'll give it that.
Black Lightning was pretty good.
It was pretty good. Superman and Lois, I just watched the whole 16 episodes. I thought it was a little bit too long. If they had cut 3 episodes out and used that money to invest in the 13 episode series, I think it would have been a little bit better. But that darker, grittier content is definitely what is wanted by fans. So I think that is definitely has a house under HBO Max, right? HBO Max is known for that tone. So it's to be expected. Audiences are ready for it. And you can deliver it under one umbrella. You got your theatricals, maybe doing day and date releases, but then they're going to slowly transition back to theater only. You have your big budget films on theatrical, but you can also have connected television, multiversal television shows on HBO Max. And I know that's kind of what they're trying to do, but
I would move the Doom Patrol and I will also bring back
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. I would move those to the CW. I would move those to the CW, and I would move. I would move Titans to the CW. Here's why: because the CW needs to be remade into something that's a little bit more cohesive. Now, that's an option. They don't have to do that because you could also center it around Superman.
The CW has all those shows. Titans would not fit on CW.
It doesn't fit on the CW now, but we're blowing that up. Remember, we're not keeping this.
Okay, so we're changing the CW into a more adult.
You have to evolve the CW right now,
because right now it's more like a teen drama.
Well, and the people who watch it have outgrown it. The people who watched it, they still have their arrow aimed at a demographic that has moved along. They haven't moved their arrow along with that demographic, and that's where the quality of some of their shows gets knocked around. So I think that they don't necessarily have to move those shows, but they have to go in a different direction to where they're a little bit more attentive to things. Like I said, I would like to see that universe based around that version of Superman and start with him. And if you want to mix and match some of the stuff on the Max universe, go there. But what they really, like I said, another thing I would do soon is if I took over, but this Green Lantern thing, I would halt production on the current Green Lantern thing, halt it. Keep everything that they have in place. But I'm merging that to the Max universe. It's not just going to be on HBO Max. I'm merging that. That is going to be in that Max verse. And that content is going to be there. Now there'd be a different tier.
The one other thing that I would definitely do, and again, to kind of speak to a little bit of a different experience, is I would actually, when it comes to HBO Max, you work out whatever licensing agreements you need to do and finalize international rollout. I'm Canadian. We don't have the service. Titans,
you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
Doom. Actually, I'm gonna just, I don't know how long it'll be, because I just, as a quick heads up, I DM'd the HBO Max Help Twitter account a little while ago. I said basically, hello, apologies. This is just me reading my DMs here. Hello, apologies if I'm communicating through improper channels. I'm Canadian. There has not yet been a public announcement that I've seen about the arrival of HBO Max in Canada. Do you know to whom I could speak to find out if or when that may be. They responded, "Thank you for your interest in HBO Max. At this time, this is May the 8th of 2021." So just it's either May the 8th. I just want to make sure my dates are correct here. Oh no, excuse me, it's the 5th of August. My dates are a little weird there. But yeah, they responded, "Thanks for your interest in HBO Max. At this time, we do not have any information on when HBO Max could become available in Canada. Stay tuned for the latest information." And that was August 5th of 2021. So I don't know how long they're going to be, but for stuff like for example, stuff like Titans and Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing, we have that on Netflix here. We don't have Hulu up here also either. So we have Crave, but we don't get entirely because of the way the telecommunications licensing is up here. We don't get everything from HBO day and date. Like, for example, you guys got day and date Suicide Squad theaters, HBO Max. We did not get Suicide Squad day and date theaters and Crave. So I think at least for Canada, they do kind of need to work a bunch of that stuff out. And mind you, I'm also speaking purely from a Canadian experience. So
I didn't know.
They solved that problem though. Once this merger happens, because Discovery is global. Discovery is pretty much everywhere that HBO Max isn't. Once they merge, HBO Max is going to be in every place that Discovery is in. Okay. That platform is going to merge. Once that merger happens, so wherever there is Discovery, there's going to be HBO Max. Yeah, so that problem is
I hope so. I really hope so too.
Can
just to kind of clarify things. Welcome back, Jarbo. Shoot.
TL.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt anybody.
No,
go ahead.
I just wanted to respond to Megapotastic's comment that the Snyderverse is continuing with the movies that's about to come out. Okay, so that's not the problem. The problem is continuity and consistency, because none of those movies are fully consistent with each other. The continuity is all over the place. So even if the actors come back and do more movies that are from Snyder's films or Snyder's timeline, it's not consistent with those either. So goes back to the whole thing of there's not like a coherent vision for a universe, and that's what we want. We don't need Snyder to do everything in those films, but we want consistency and continuity through all those films. That's what the problem is.
Or tell me where they're broken. Tell me where they're broken. Tell me where my lines are. Where are my borders? So if I'm watching HBO Max and that's where my Snyder type content is, then I know where that's at. If I want my soft, cuddly PG-13 stuff, I know where that's at. And if I want my young adult stuff, I know where that's at. Once you define those lines and you let your customer know that there's a plan, then I think they'll have a little bit more success, because then they don't have to keep on explaining this over and over again. Right. And you give me a clear path forward. So when I go see your movie in the theater, I know that everything that happens in that continuity is happening on the big screen. If I watch a series on HBO Max, I know that after I'm done with the Green Lantern Corps, I know I can jump right into the next series that they have ready for me. And if they want to tell an overarching story, they can. But the tone and the production value is consistent within that platform. And if you want to go to the CW and do something there with that version of Superman being the center of it, I know that there's definite lines there. Right now, there's just disorganization.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
100%.
A bad plan, no plan is better than a bad plan. Sometimes. Right now, there's no plan. There's nothing to keep us. We're talking about their disorganization instead of talking about, wow, this is cool. I can't wait for this. And that's the one thing that Marvel has, is because – go ahead.
Isn't that crazy? I find that to be absolutely absurd. Like absurd. Because with how much potential these IPs have, we have no idea what's going on. There's 97 Batman movies or projects that are in the works. I mean, we have now. I know that some people are going to get aggravated with this, but I don't think you should even be considering Blue Beetle or Batgirl before we know what's happening with the Justice League. That's just
100% correct.
That's just me personally. You need to stop greenlighting those projects before you tell me, the consumer, who my faithful seven or faithful seven are. Who are my Justice League who are my main Justice League? Is it Henry Cavill? Is it someone else? Is it going to be this Michael B. Jordan one? What's going on? Is Ben Affleck in the role, or is Keaton taking over? Are we going to find that out in the Flash? I don't know. Aquaman, we know he's staying. And Wonder Woman, we know she's staying. I haven't even seen Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart yet. I am already in talks about a Blue Beetle movie or series, whatever, and a Batgirl series.
They're doing a Green Lantern series without Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. So
which listen, I am okay with, because they're starting with the original Alan Scott Green Lantern, and I'm down with that. I am.
Me too.
Fully down with that. But does that connect to the overall main storyline? No. Is that in the I'm going to call it Henry Cavill verse?
Here's the thing with and the DL brought out the fact that the Marvel started with Iron Man. Now, Iron Man, there's a reason why they did that. There's a reason, because they set out to tell an Avengers story. They set out to tell basically the first Avengers story. And they followed that as consistently as they could. And if you look at the order of how the Avengers movies and everything came out, it's generally just as it lays out in Avengers #1, with the exception of Captain America, who doesn't appear until a couple issues down the line. That's why those characters are there.
Yep.
And Iron Man is not a small character, and they got a big name star to play him, even though at that point in his career. But they started with, if anybody considers him an unknown, not too many, but they started with that character because they had a plan from beginning to end.
Right, and
they did
get lucky too. They definitely got a little bit lucky with how it turned out, because that could have crashed and burned.
Yeah, and like I said, that movie that wasn't a $1 billion movie at first. Most of these movies that they started out with were not $1 billion movies. So this $1 billion standard needs to go away, by the way.
Well, their first billion was
William. Finally, someone says it correctly. The $1 billion standard needs to be wiped from the slate, because this is not what you are. So right. Thank you.
Because even Marvel won't be able to maintain that over the years. But here's the thing, though. You start with your plan, and I think what degree you think Iron Man and Tony Stark was as far as being recognizable as a character, he would have been in one of their first movies no matter what, because he's one of the first Avengers. He is, so we knew that plan going forward. You get the sense that, okay, well, they're building this universe. Captain America, Thor, all these movies are coming out. These are all the Avengers. That's the one thing you have to do with DC is you don't have to build up a separate movie like they did, simply because there's more people who know Batman's butler than ever knew who Iron Man was. So I don't have to start at the bottom. I don't have to start building singular movies and build up 12 years. All right. If I walk out to anybody on the Vegas Strip right now and said, who's Batman's sidekick? They're going to know Robin. Whether they ever picked up a comic or not, they're going to know. Who's Batman's arch villain? They're going to know. Now, if I walk out to somebody and say, who is Iron Man's arch villain? Or who's the leader? Who led the forces against him in Iron Wars? Right. Who? What? No. So I'm not going to have to start with 10, 15 movies with DC building up their franchise. I can start. They started exactly how they should have. They started with the most famous, the second ever superhero team ever created, with building together the Justice League. The plan wasn't bad. The management was, and the fact that they blinked. They listened to people who, in my opinion, are worthless. Yeah. They listened to people who are worthless and were never going to go see DC movies, because at the time it was this whole football team to where it was like you were getting a check from Marvel if you rooted for Marvel, and you were getting a check from DC if you were rooting for DC, which is stupid. And the execs got caught up in that.
Exactly.
So, like, once again, bad management. And that's why, like I said, this whole thing needs to be reviewed, not just as far as our DC movie type stuff. The entire way Warner Brothers Pictures has been ran, and the standards and everything else, and the expectations are going to change. Like I said, anybody says that, they're not going to drop a whole bunch of money on this or that, no matter what it is not looking at things from the point of adding value to their streaming service. What's going to get DL to watch my streaming service over and over? Because see, if I make a movie and it makes $1 billion, I've got DL's money that day. But if I get DL as an annual subscriber, I get DL's money every day. I get DL's money every month. I get DL 10 times of what he said, what he was going to go to that one movie. Right. I may get lucky with him liking one movie, but I'm not going to get lucky with him hooking up to my. And if I give him 4 or 5 reasons to stay on there, Because everybody who watched Justice League, I guarantee you, didn't just watch Justice League. They hopped over to Aquaman. They hopped over to the animated stuff. I didn't watch DC animated at all until I got HBO Max.
Me either. Oh, okay. Well, no, I'm with. I am.
So, but you see what I mean, though.
I do.
It opened the door up to something I would never have had content to because it's all there. So that $1 billion that I'm shooting for in the movie theaters, that becomes secondary because I got DL for the entire year of 2022. I got DL 12 times 12. How much was I going to make off of him from a movie? You know, so that's what they're thinking. The overall value of the IPs and everything else. So box office, like I said, the wins and losses, it just doesn't matter that way anymore.
Right. I mean,
and spending doesn't matter that way anymore.
Yeah, and I'd like to get Jarbo. What do you think about like the way that?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. The way that movies are transitioning, because now we're getting movies that are going straight to streaming, and we don't know if they're technically considered successful. We just know that we watch them and we like them, and like more of the conversations like between us kind of deem whether they're good or not. Like, do you think the evolution of where movies are going is? Do you think this is going to be a good thing for cinema, or? And I'm talking about cinema as a whole, maybe not just comic book movies, but where this is going.
Well, I've repeatedly said that that what's going to save cinemas is going to be horror movies, and I stand by that. I mean, well, because look at Candyman. Candyman, what modest budget? Candyman. Right. What was the budget? Yet? No, I haven't. I have not been able to make it to the theater yet. Is it good?
It's great.
I can't believe
it looks really solid. Yeah.
I can't believe
the Rex sequel.
Like
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
I can't believe that this movie, because I saw the trailer for it like a while back, and I was like, oh, yeah, it looks good. I can't believe that so many people are like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen.
I'm not gonna go that far, but
I've seen people saying it like, this is an unbelievable film. I can't believe it. Like,
it's so well done. It's so well done. And
I thought it was just going to be another generic.
No, it's not. And they do scenes. There's certain things and methods that they use for storytelling in this movie that I've never seen anywhere else.
Right.
And I loved it. So
it's written by Jordan Peele, right?
It's produced by Jordan Peele.
Yeah, produced by Peele. Nia DaCosta, and she's going on to go do the Marvels.
Right.
So, I really want to see it. I love the original Candyman. Tony Todd is the shit. Sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. Just don't say the F. Try not to say the F bomb too much.
Okay.
Everything
now
else
I'm going to take that as a challenge.
Every other sentence.
Yeah.
No. I'm a lot better than that.
You're saying horror was going to save cinema, though.
Yeah, and I think Blumhouse look at Candyman, for example. It's estimated to pull in $20 million this weekend, which
made for 25, yeah.
Made for 25 exactly. That's pretty decent.
And then look at The Invisible Man also before that. That was like that made an incredible sort of return on that budget.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm confused. How are horror? So you say horror movies are going to be what saves cinema as a whole?
I think they're going to be able to bring back bring back cash.
They're gonna bring asses to chairs.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
They're very profitable. They're very profitable, especially Blumhouses. So.
Yeah, because the thing is, okay, horror is inexpensive. All right,
very inexpensive.
Horror is like the reality TV of movies. It's super inexpensive. It's super effective because it plays on our core fears, and people always will seek out their fears, always, because they want to see what they can be tested by. We have a weird, perverse thing with that, right? Like you go to a date. Why do you take a date to a horror movie? Because you're hoping.
You want to get laid.
You're hoping you want to get laid. No, you want to get laid.
You're
and here's the thing with
100%
that.
Right.
You want to get laid. And so what happens, you take a girl to a horror movie, she gets scared, that fight or flight thing kicks in. She gets, I don't want to say vulnerable, but she gets excited. You oftentimes hear about people engaging in sex after near-death experiences, and considering that a horror movie effectively replicates the concept of that from a safe environment, it's a good way to get laid.
That's a psychology like thing.
And people like
That's
to
a
go.
massive thing.
Teenagers also look. Teenagers still have the highest amount of disposable income. Horror movies have always been aimed at the teenage market because it always plays upon the fear of the unknown in regards to like if you go out of line, sex, drugs, alcohol, rock and roll, whatever. The stuff teenagers are always doing to rebel against with their parents.
Right.
So it always speaks to them as a demographic. It's never going to go away. We're never running out of teenagers unless Children of Men happens, which I doubt. And at the end of it, what you're going to see is just effectively like that's going to be what brings in a lot of money. Are we ever going to get $1 billion horror movie? Probably not. Are we ever going to see anything north of maybe 500, 600 million? Yeah, sure. But these movies are going to have $5 to $40 million budgets where it's going to be this massive return on investment.
Right.
Like
It'll make
Conjuring
back.
3 was made on a $39 million budget and it brought in $200 million.
Right.
The Conjuring
to me,
3 did? Yeah,
Conjuring
wow.
3.
If that's correct, which I cannot confirm because I don't have the tools in front of me, if that's correct, like to me, I consider that a success, right? If you make 200 million and only spend 39 to make it, I consider that a success. And if people liked it, generally, I like. All right, so we had a conversation the other day, guys, and I want to get your input on this because it aggravated me that someone said it. I think it was Saggy Melons that I was arguing with it about, and it was on Jarbo's stream. Do you think the people that make movies should have some vested interest, whether the audience likes it, and not just about the financial aspect of it? I'm talking about bigwigs, not maybe Zack Snyder or James Wan. I'm sure they care if people like their movies, but I'm talking like bigwigs. Should they have some vested interest in whether people like the movies, not just spend money on them? Kathleen Kennedy.
That's a
right?
tricky.
How do you quantify it? You can qualify it, but how do you quantify it? Because at least when it comes to sales, when it comes to revenue, it's money in the pocket, right? But
Right.
we have, mind you, what I'm about to describe is anecdotal, so this is not longitudinal in any way. But you look at the fact that you've had major, you've had major streaming and major films over the last couple of years go through sort of, kind of review bombing, right? Like the fact that we know review bombing exists,
Right.
is it something you can control for? At least if there's like a boycott or if there's something like that, you might be able to control for that internally, but you can still at least watch the dollars. You can at least watch where the money's going, where it's coming from. But when you're trying to do something that is purely subjective, I think it's tougher to kind of try and quantify in a way that would be usable long term, right? Because especially if it's something that has that is a part of an established franchise or something like that, you might be able to have a bunch of people line up on several things but not everything. But if you're going also individual movie to movie to movie to movie, you really can't. You might be able to get genre, but you really kind of can't get individual films unless you have something kind of built on it.
Right. But I think so, what I'm saying is, so people demonize these people, these bigwigs, right? These top of the building decision makers. What I'm asking is, should they? Obviously, they're looking for money. They're looking for these movies to make money. But do you think that they should have a general vested interest on whether the audience actually likes the films and like enjoyed their experience at the movie theater, whatever it is? Like for some people, like they demonize these people to a point where they think it's all about money. And like, we see what Kathleen Kennedy has gone through in some of the fandom, in the Star Wars fandom. Her movies make.
You know what I think you could do?
The sequel, the 3 movies that came out for Star Wars are financial. They're great, financially great, but people necessarily, yes, people didn't take well, I suppose, to them. Should she care?
No.
That's the question.
If they're $1 billion films, if they're raking in money, they should not give a shit.
But
How
why?
many Transformer sequels do we have?
Right, but if they don't like them now, what's saying that they're gonna go see them. You think they're gonna see them just because Star Wars is the tagline?
Yeah, it
There-
used to be the
there's one
case
way-
until Solo came out.
The one thing I think you might be able to do is I'm not sure about this. I'd have to check with my local theater chains. What is the refund policy on cinemas? So like you work with a particular
I
theater
do.
chain, Ty.
I do.
So you can speak at least to their refund policy with respect to viewing a film in a cinema. What is the refund policy?
Yeah, so on the back of the ticket, actually, it does say that if your theater going experience wasn't as you imagined it, or something to that effect, if you were not happy with the film, you can actually get a refund for the movie. However, whoever does that,
yeah.
like
If that's something that can
you
be
got to have a
instant-
Karen, a
if
real
that's
Karen.
something, if that's something that like, and I know that's again subjective, but I think that if that's something that like the National Association of Theater Owners somehow were able to kind of help enforce across the country, and work with international organizations to help do that, I think you might be able to at least, even though it is kind of more of a thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing, I think then you might be able to quantify that. But I think, like I said, more than anything else, it's just finding quantifying it, like as far as in numbers, I think is where you're going to have to look at when it comes to, you'd have to kind of almost create this whole set of metrics of like the quantity of these reviews, but the quality of them. I know that's why, like, what is it? Was it Fandango that moved to, or Rotten Tomatoes moved to the verified reviews program?
I'm not sure.
Like there's one that
Jarbo.
like
Yeah, it was Rotten Tomatoes, and they did this when Captain Marvel came out, but it had been something talked about for a while because Solo was review bombed, a number
That's
of
what I
other
was thinking
properties
of.
were review bombed, and that's one of the reasons why they chose to do it.
Which is something I understand. I know it's kind of I know that's it's difficult when, especially when you're trying to go with anonymity, in the sense of like a person being able to provide a positive or negative review, particularly in the concept of something where it's like it's in good faith if you're providing a positive or negative review, and but you want to provide it maybe anonymously in case that your opinion of the film is, you want it to be kind of protected. You don't want to be harassed in some capacity due to your opinion on the film. If there was some way to simultaneously maintain a sort of a level of anonymity, but also provide some sort of review verification thing, like I know you might be able to get away with it. I know it's if they had moved, for example, if they moved maybe screeners from outside standard access media, move it to something broader, like if they, to something like a home viewing experience or something like that, you might be able to, in that case, because you're providing it to someone, you can get that. So I know that kind of violates my previous position, but I'm just trying to find a way that you can quantify good faith, positive and negative reviews longitudinally, over the entire sort of theater going experience. And then plus you might be able to, especially with later reviews, right? Like you can look at how you change, how opinions of a film may change, right? How a film that at the time might not have been critically well received, but is now kind of receiving some sort of cult following. Is that something you can adjust for?
Right.
Like I'm not providing answers. I'm just kind of asking hypotheticals to try and.
I missed the question.
The question was, ask it.
The question is, should the bigwigs, right, the people that run these studios, should they have a vested interest on whether the people that see their movies that are made by their studios, should they care if people like them or if the money comes in? Like Kathleen Kennedy, for instance, her sequel trilogy to Star Wars was financially successful. Should she care that people didn't like it?
Yes, and it's a yes and no answer, simply because
that's what I was thinking. Right?
You can make. I don't know if
says
this has been repeated while I stepped out, but you can make a lot of money on something and still have a bad aftertaste to the point. Now, if you're selling a legacy or something like that, now let's Star Wars aside, because Star Wars is Star Wars. You could sell a mound of feces and put Star Wars on it. Star Wars fans, not a lot of them will buy it, even if some of us don't like it. But if you're trying to build a franchise and build a legacy,
Preaching to the choir.
yeah, if you made $1 billion, the mythical $1 billion standards, but say you made $1 billion, right? But it's a bad movie. Are you going? Those numbers could really deteriorate, and then you're spending the same amount of money as you did on that first one. So now you have diminishing returns. So yeah, you really have to worry about the money, but you also have to worry about the content you're putting out. Otherwise, a lot of people saw your movie, but a lot of them got turned off.
Right.
Transformers.
That again, but
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Exactly. Right. So that's where I'm
Oh,
going.
the
with
movie. Oh, yeah.
People demonize.
Oh, there's a movie?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought the show was terrible.
Oh, don't you?
wow. Jarbo wants to die today, I guess.
I've already been triggering anime fans over there on the Cowboy Bebop
listen,
Twitter.
I don't-
Oh my goodness! Wow,
I
you probably
couldn't care
triggered a bunch of
less.
people by calling Avatar anime. Period.
I couldn't care less about Avatar.
You need to watch it. It's great.
I couldn't care less about it.
It is
either.
great.
Ty can't watch animation. He's already been open about this.
Yeah, it gives me headaches. But listen, my co-hosts.
What?
That's why I have a team. They like it and they can talk about it for me. Because
Jarbo, I even think you would like it because it's not like, I mean, I don't know if even I would consider it being an anime, but it doesn't have those like hyper like anime sensibilities that's over the top and stuff like that. It's actually really grounded in tone.
I hear really good things about it. I know Filoni worked on it too.
Yes.
So I do need to check it out. But
Well, like
yeah,
if you
it's
look
something
at,
I
for
haven't seen.
example, if you look at like the design of like bossing, say, if you look at the sort of the inner sanctum, DL, I know you've seen Mando, right? You've seen Mando, DL?
See what?
Mandalorian.
Yes, yeah.
Well, like the inner sanctum on Corvus, like where Magistrate Elsbeth is, it's basically Star Wars bossing, say. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's like that was intentional. But also, for example, the little blue little tiny little references, like the blue triangle that Mando has on his first armor,
yes.
his first gauntlets. That's a reference to Aang having the Avatar tattoos.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm not joking. Filoni actually put that on there as a reference. Like you can Google it.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Well, I mean that's cool, I guess. I know Avatar: The Last Airbender. I know it's like a super wide, popular, like people loved it, right? I know. So can someone explain that to me? I know Netflix has a series coming out, but there's also
God.
Avatar: The Last Airbender Studios or something like that.
Avatar
Yeah,
Studios.
because the Avatar Studios are working with Paramount Plus on additional animated content that takes place in the animated universe of Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Netflix show is a live-action, not reboot, but a live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender in series form.
How does
The
that
reason
work?
why the reason why people are so concerned about that is originally the original creators were signed on as showrunners or at least as creative consultants on the show.
Yeah, and then they
Due to
left.
creative differences, they stepped away. So like that's one of the
That's
sort of the
scary.
That is
yes,
scary.
and that's why a lot of people are kind of concerned about the live action stuff and are kind of hedging their bets on what they're going to do with the shows on Paramount Plus.
Well, okay, so no, that doesn't bode well for this series on Netflix, because I mean the series, that's what I was gonna say, is like, all right, well, if they're creating Avatar Studios, why is there still a Netflix show happening, right? Because like now
They
a
already signed the
competitor-
deal. They can't
right?
cancel.
A competitor is now making a show with your name on it, right? So that gets a little dicey. Hence why when Disney Plus launched, all the Defenderverse started getting canceled. They weren't going to make a show.
Well, the other reason why Paramount Plus, I think, also it's a further push by Paramount, because Paramount Plus is Viacom CBS, which also owns Nickelodeon, which is why the animated series are going to be on there, because Avatar originally aired on Nick. So that's why I figure you can have them in sort of different ways. Like I don't think you guys can verify this. I have to double check. Like, was the Last Airbender, M. Night Shyamalan's Last Airbender, was that a Paramount movie?
Yeah, that's a Paramount movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure why. Like, maybe it's just the fact that they thought they would get something. Like, maybe it was just a better deal. Maybe it's something that's owned by the creatives less than it's owned by Nickelodeon, and so they signed them in two different places or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to double check. Why?
I think Netflix already like solidified a deal with them before they quit, so it's like they couldn't just drop it. So Netflix was allowed to continue to do the show with or without the creators there. So it's already signed, sealed. They can't cancel it or anything like that. So
Yeah. That's a really that's dicey. That's dicey. That's all I'll say.
and the thing with the Netflix, because you brought the Defenders thing, I think there was like a different person running the Netflix Marvel stuff that's technically supposed to be in the same division with Kevin Feige. And the
That was
MCU.
Marvel Television, right, Jarbo? Like that did the Marvel Netflix
Well, that's
series.
Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb.
So
did
yeah,
a lot.
versus. I have a to paraphrase our good friend Enosh at the Point Extra Lounge. I have a love-hate relationship with Jeff Loeb, but that's the other reason why.
I have the same one with Jeff Johns.
Yeah,
Yeah, no one likes Jeff
but that's the
Johns,
problem is because the Netflix shows were Marvel Television. All the Disney Plus shows are Marvel Studios, which is the film division.
Right.
That's why they were kind of separate for a while.
Yeah, do you guys think? All right, well, now that we're here, do you guys think that the Defenders should deserve to be taken? Because we know that Disney got the rights back once the time limit came up and Netflix forfeited the rights to the characters over. Should they continue the stories that were being told on Netflix and just kind of like play into it and like lean into it hard, or should they reboot them completely?
Put Moon Knight and Blade in that universe because that's where it needs to be.
And you also have to
Well,
you also have to ask the question. One of the main things you have to ask is there anything that was in the seasons of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Defenders? Is there anything that directly contradicts storytelling that has been done through the MCU films since the ending of the Netflix arrangement? If it doesn't, then you should be able to honestly, you should be able to, once certain rights things are worked out with regards to streaming, you should be able to effectively pick them, drag and drop from
I think the only
Netflix
thing is
to
that they
Disney
don't
Plus.
acknowledge the snap. or
They
any of that.
acknowledge the Battle of New York, though.
Well, the thing is also taken into consideration when did the shows end?
The shows did,
Right.
the
shows
shows were
ended
within
before
3 years.
The shows
3 to
ended
5
before,
years.
and the shows ended before Infinity War.
Yes, they did.
Right. So there was no reason for them to acknowledge the snap. So they're really, if that's your major issue, then there shouldn't be anything continuity wise to move over.
Yeah.
I mean,
It all
we
depends on
might possibly
narrative,
be getting one character from them in about 4 months in a movie, but
Right, but I feel like you could use the snap almost to make it make sense.
like the way that they did, the way that, for example, CW did Crisis, right?
Right.
Well, it functioned like William. If you look at Crisis in the comic books, they shrunk the things down. Like there was 5 worlds left. They put them together into one composite Earth. I could see that the snaps do something like that.
I spent most of my adult life trying to forget Crisis of Infinite Earths.
Yeah, we see that. Actually, no. We see that happen in the Eternals trailer right in the beginning, right? The 3 snaps, right? We have 3 snaps that occur on Earth within a 5-year period, right? We have the strongest or the most cosmic of the beginnings of the universe, the most powerful stones in the galaxy snapping all at once 3 different times in a 5-year period, right? And in Eternals, they address that has allowed for the emergence to happen. Now, my theory is, that's how mutants are going to come in, right? We see the Celestials. We know that the Celestials created the deviant gene. But could the snap could Charlie Cox just show up in No Way Home as Tom Holland's lawyer, right? And we just blink and whatever, keep going. Like we don't have.
Like I said, if it doesn't if the storytelling that's in Netflix does not contradict the storytelling that was done in the MCU movies, then you really shouldn't have a problem. That basically dragging and dropping.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but with the
I think
exception of these
people would be
Spider-Man
okay
characters,
with
I've
it.
never seen Feige do that though. He tends to want to control pretty much most of the elements that are going to come into
Well,
his MCU.
Didn't he have a hand in producing the shows?
Wasn't
his name somewhere in the list of executive producers?
Maybe like an
show?
executive. That's like me though. I mean, an executive producer. I don't know if he had an actual.
He executive produced the older Marvel movies too. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, I just don't know if that really matters. Like, does it matter that we know that the Charlie Cox Daredevil character is literally one of the most fan favorite characters from from this whole thing. People literally did the whole Twitter thing, right? Because Twitter, whatever Twitter says, we need to make happen.
He doesn't respond to that though. That's one of the good things I like about Kevin Feige.
Me too.
Is he doesn't necessarily respond to fanfare. He has his plan, and for the most part, he sticks with his plan.
Yeah.
He does his thing. That's what I love about the guy. He does his thing, and it's thought out. It's long thought out. I can bitch and moan about something on a Twitter thing. That's not gonna move the needle with Kevin Feige because he has a concrete plan, and he's making very little variations to it. So, and that's one of the reasons why I don't think you'll see too much from the Netflix shows over there because that doesn't fit into what he's doing.
Right.
Even the stuff he's bringing in, the nostalgia from Spider-Man stuff fits into what he's doing and an atmosphere he's completely controlling. So I don't think
because they're street level and they don't really affect the wider scope of the MCU. So you don't feel like it wouldn't fit right into the timeline of the MCU.
Because he's adding things to his overall plan that aren't his, and I haven't seen him do that. Like I said, the Spider-Man movie is the first I've seen where he's gone outside of his plan.
Right. But I mean, look at John Bernthal's Punisher. You want to recast that?
Okay, what the storyteller, who the storyteller is. If I'm already in the middle of my story, and that Punisher doesn't fit my narrative, then that's not my Punisher. I'm just saying for the point.
But I have a question if I'm correct. But so Netflix owns those versions of those characters, so that's why there's a soft reboot for these characters because Netflix owns that type of character that they did. So there's obviously going to be a soft reboot for those characters. You're not gonna get full on reference to the Defenders events. But you're gonna get soft references.
Right. It's kind of like what they're gonna do with Deadpool, for instance.
Right.
Like they won't reference what happened beforehand.
But now they own Deadpool. They own Deadpool via Fox.
Well, they own that Deadpool. They don't. But with Netflix, they didn't buy Netflix, so they don't own Netflix's Daredevil, so they can't use those themes. They can't use those, whatever in those shows happened. They can't use that now because they only bought the character, not the
brand,
not that interpretation,
not the brand.
It's such a tough thing because I know that people want Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Right. So
Netflix, Feige's going to be confident that he can be a better
by
one.
Netflix, will go to Hulu. They'll stay on Netflix.
Honestly, first, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. First of all, I want to say thanks for letting me in the stream late in the game. Sorry, I hope I don't derail things.
No, you're good. You're good, man.
Always good seeing you, Joe.
Tonight was a derail in general. So,
but I've been saying for a long time. I really think MCU and Kevin Feige have to. They don't have to, but they should acknowledge all TV stuff as canon because it was sold to us initially as # it's all connected. That was the sale.
Yes.
And it's now granted, Feige wasn't the one that made that promise, but it's like you did bring in a bunch of fans with that promise, and it seems like a cheap shot to throw that stuff out of canon just because you had a pissing contest with Perlmutter. That's my opinion on it.
That's not why they would do it. That's not why they would do it. Like I said, his style that I've witnessed, unless somebody's seen something different, is he controls his narrative in everything that comes in it from beginning to end. He builds up, for the most part, he builds up his interpretations of his characters in this MCU. So those characters weren't built up by him. So I could see, like, maybe guests, like in Spider-Man No Way Home, you're going to see guest stars and things, but those aren't necessarily permanent fixtures. It's a Tom Holland movie, or it's supposed to be. But you're talking about bringing in long-term interpretations of characters that he did not build up in his.
Right,
so I don't see him doing it.
In Secret Invasion, you'll see a different type of Quake in Secret Invasion if she shows up.
Okay, listen, I'm okay with like.
Yeah,
all right, I'm okay with like Quake not showing up.
Right, because I know, you won't see.
I'm more of a Doom guy.
Ming-Na Wen's you don't see the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s version of Ming-Na Wen's character. You'll see a new version of her, because of that.
Right. What about the multiverse? Maybe we don't drag and drop, but could the Because listen, the fact is that in the beginning of Daredevil, they do reference the Battle of New York. We know that the event of the Avengers. William looks like he's getting pissed off at me.
No, I'm looking at no. I don't get pissed off over this stuff.
I know. I was messing with you. They reference the Battle of New York, almost to say like, "Hey guys, it is all connected," right? Like Joe is saying. Like, hey guys, like the first season of Daredevil, the first couple episodes, like we saw newspapers, we saw after effects of the Battle of New York. I know since then they've said like, oh, it's on a different Earth that had like similar things.
Oh, they said that already?
Similar, yes, they said that it was on a separate Earth that had a similar event take place, like a multiverse version of it.
Oh, then I just gotta take that back then. All right.
But who's to say that matters? What they said back then, right? That
Right.
What they said back then is what they said back then. What we're doing now is what we're doing now, and I think it fits in. I don't think it messes with anything. If Daredevil walks onto the silver screen.
If anything,
well, there are rights issues to contend with here. You know what I mean?
I like that.
And but the thing is, though, all Netflix did is Netflix just paid for they licensed the distribution, but they didn't own the characters. So that's the whole point. Is the Netflix and I've heard there's been rumors, how rumors always fly, that Disney is looking into buying back the rights from Netflix in order to put that on something like FX or Hulu or something as a way to then tie it in. I've been hearing this for a while now. No idea if it's true. But, I mean, yeah, bringing back Charlie Cox as Daredevil, bringing back Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones, that's what fans want. I personally, I want Mike Coulter and I want Finn Jones. I feel Finn Jones was done dirty.
Jones. Yes.
Fuck
yes, Jarbo. Fuck it. I just said
it.
I just said it.
All right. Well, you said it.
I just said it. I wrote my rule for you because I've never heard anyone agree with me about Finn Jones' Iron
Tyler,
Fist.
I'm going to agree with both you and Jarbo. I like Finn.
Dude, he got done dirty.
Yeah.
Yep. He's better written than
Iron Fist and then got canceled. It took 2 seasons.
People named Finn getting done dirty by Disney. Why does that sound familiar?
Well, I think there should be better writing for Finn Jones, but I'm okay with it if he's better written because I did not like the writing for that.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing with the first season of Iron Fist. It's 2 words: Scott Buck. And when you're a showrunner on a show like that, you are the head writer, meaning all scripts go through him. He has to rewrite most of the scripts, but the other writers get the credit. That is kind of the unwritten rule of how these shows run. In fact, Stephen DeKnight, who did Spartacus in the first half of Jupiter's Legacy, and a bunch of other showrunners recently on Twitter have been talking about this. And it's been fascinating to kind of get a glimpse into that side of the industry. So the thing with Iron Fist was they rushed it into production, and they didn't give, in my mind, Finn Jones ample time to train. That's something he has said. But on the opposite side of that, the stunt coordinator from the show recently came out and said Finn Jones had no interest in training, that he had no interest in learning the moves. And I don't know how much of that is real, but we do know Jessica Hennick very much participated, very much was a highlight as Colleen Wing. I think
she was awesome.
I want her back. I want Misty Knight back. I want the Daughters of the Dragon. I want Heroes for Hire. I loved the Netflix universe. I thought that it was grounded.
Yeah.
The Defenderverse was one of the best.
I'm way more down for like ground level heroes than I am for like the supernatural cosmic stuff. I just don't. It's not that I don't care. It's just that's not my jam. Like I'd rather the Punisher or Daredevil over Captain Marvel or Guardians.
I'm like an even split. I love the cosmic stuff as much as I love the ground level stuff, and so I'm kind of happy with both.
Yeah, I think they
but
should.
We can have both.
Yeah, I think they should do. I think they need to do like a Marvel Knights division, maybe Hulu. I don't know if they don't want to put it on Disney Plus. Have it be like a universe that may be connected to Marvel Studios, but may be connected, may not be. You put the Defenders, Punisher, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Blade, put them all there so you can tell those grounded stories. You know, stuff that we're not going to be able to get with the mainstream MCU stuff. I think that would be great. But,
yeah,
it's kind of like what I'm thinking that's saying they should do with DC is get
exactly.
There's an audience for that Netflix verse. There is an audience. I like the shows too. There's an audience for it, and then why leave them out in the lurch? But you know,
yeah, no, and like I said, like we got characters like the Watcher said, like Moon Knight is a mix of supernatural and kind of like the grounded. It's definitely a mix of the spiritual realm, but it's also a grounded street level kind of hero. And I think Moon Knight is going the tone of Moon Knight is going to align kind of with that Defenderverse, right? So my theory, not my theory, but my suggestion maybe to Disney Plus would be to either put like the darker R-rated stuff like the Punisher, Deadpool on Hulu and have it homed there, or create a category in Disney Plus that's password protected where the R-rated darker stuff goes.
Well, take into consideration also there's a thing up here that we have that was part of the international rollout of Disney Plus called Disney Plus Star, and we do actually have a password protection for material that would be for people over I think it's either the age of 14 or 16. So we have it, so it can be done. It's just I think it needs to be.
And that's where my idea came from.
With Hulu, they're gonna combine Hulu and Disney Plus next summer or in 2 years or whatever, and have Hulu as a separate section for the U.S.
Well, they said that, right? Like they said that at the Investor Day this year, right?
Yeah, they did. Like they said that they're testing Star in their international places to then implement it in the upcoming years.
I got all the like for example, the one thing I love about Star is I got all the this is anecdotal because I love it, but Jarbo knows my love of it. I have we get all the Predator movies on there.
Right.
So I'm very happy to have, I can go watch Bad Batch, or I can go watch, the old Disney cartoons. Oh, let's put on Predators, So
it's password protected to get into like the more R-rated content.
It's basically it's on a profile by profile basis. What you'll do is it's not necessarily password protected, but when you create a profile within the Disney Plus account,
it's not a kid account.
No, yeah, you opt in. You opt in where you opt in and say this account is okay to watch, the adult-oriented content. Yes.
Yeah.
So you can set up password protection. It's just something you just have to set it up on your own.
Right, and I think that's a smart way to do it because like when you have like William, I know William's like a very big advocate about like being able to like you can have separate like you could have the CW, you could have HBO Max and theatrical. I find that audiences, especially nowadays, where like CW is cable, it's a cable thing, or you can get the app. It feels separate. It feels different. I think people are going to want to house it in one place. That way they can consolidate their prices. And because the whole point of streaming was to go away from the cable and the prices that came with cable, right? But now there's so many streaming services
and
that you're almost paying as much as cable.
And in my opinion, when it comes to particularly the fact that you have in the States, you have 3 streaming services, Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. I know there's a bundle. They should just be one streaming service. They should just be one streaming service with a fixed price. That's what it should be, at least in my opinion. or at least
What
have
would you
Disney and
call
Hulu,
Bundle,
or at least
pretty
have,
much a bundle.
but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's as opposed to having like separate apps and so forth. Unless there is like a self-contained app, you can kind of hop into Hulu or Disney Plus or ESPN Plus. In which case, then they've already solved their problem.
Resident Justice here.
I think as the revenue jumps up, it will.
Yeah. Resident Justice here says it's actually Hawkeye and She-Hulk. She-Hulk is going to have Daredevil, and it would make sense. They're both lawyers. Hawkeye will have Kingpin. I don't know how that would work, and begin the setup for the Echo series, which will have both Daredevil and Kingpin.
I really want as a joke. I really want as a joke, but this is purely for me.
Listen.
No. Like, purely for me, I really want to see. This is again a joke. Like, to have Maurice LaMarche in an episode of She-Hulk. The reason why is because, like, based on a Futurama episode, the single female lawyer episode. If you guys have ever seen that episode of Futurama,
Single female lawyer having lots of sex.
Because Maurice LaMarche plays Lur, so I'd love to just have him as one of. Oh my goodness! I never thought I'd forget her name. What the heck is She-Hulk's name?
Jennifer Walters.
Yeah,
Thank you. As one of her clients or something like that, have Maurice LaMarche in there.
Well, like, I want that, and when we're talking about Daredevil and Punisher, I completely forgot that another huge aspect was Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio absolutely murdered that role, and to recast that now, like, I know what Ving Rhames played him in the movie, right?
Michael Clark Duncan.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Michael Duncan Clark.
Why did I say Ving Rhames? Why did I say Ving Rhames? I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I think that was super just in my head like that.
We don't all look alike, man.
Stop!
Wow.
Stop!
Wow.
I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to be the guy to say it.
Oh,
Don't you
jeez.
dare! Don't you dare!
Saggy's gonna pop up and go what's going on now?
Hang on. I'll have her show up. Blue Beetle. All right, let's see
You
if she
guys are
shows up.
so bad. You guys are so
Blue Beetle.
bad.
Saggy Mom's
But
Blue Beetle.
Vincent.
I think I'm
It's like
the
Beetlejuice. You say it 3
Bizarro.
times, she shows up.
I think I'm the Bizarro version of Saggy, though, because I'm also obsessed with Blue Beetle, but only Ted Cord.
Yeah, which is fine. I love Ted
Because
Cord
you're
too.
racist.
You're racist. Like
I'm
Trevor
canceled.
said.
I'm
I
like, what's with
guess
the Blue Beetle stuff?
I'm gone.
Yes.
I'll talk
Now,
to you guys
here's the
later.
thing, though, with these streaming companies, everything that you guys are bringing up, I think should happen. And here's why: these streaming services are going to be starving for content. That's where the revenue comes from. They got to keep enough content to keep the value of the streaming service up and
Yeah,
going.
You're
I
right.
need a reason to stay there at all times.
You know what's
You know,
pissed
I need
me
a
off?
reason to keep my subscription going.
You know what pissed me off during the pandemic, right? During the pandemic, when nothing was coming out, Netflix increased their prices by $2 and said it's because we're supplying you with more and more content. And I just
You're supplying
I
us with
got
more content. The
so-
problem is
I
not
got
right
so
now.
aggravated. Yeah, I got
It's like,
so
You're
aggravated.
gonna give me more content in 2 years.
Yeah, I was
Why should
so
pay
mad.
$1
Netflix has been dropping a movie a week
Yeah.
all year.
Yeah,
And-
but
and a
at
couple
the
years ago-
time- at the time,
Volume matters.
nothing was happening, and they increased the price by $2 and said it was because they were giving me more content every day. At the time, nothing was coming out, and it didn't for another month or so.
Well,
Well,
you
we
might,
lose
but
people
well,
for
no, they have
I'm
they
just
have
saying it
things
pissed me
dropping
off at the
all the
time.
time, though. Ty, I'm part of
I
their media
understand.
network, so they have things dropping all the time. They just don't promote anything.
Listen,
That's the problem with Netflix. Is they don't. Yeah,
I do understand. I guess it's like.
I get what you're trying to say. I get what you're trying to
pissed me
say.
off. I was like, "Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?"
I actually, because of the price
Netflix-
increase, I dropped my tier.
To
I wasn't
to non
to non. Well, no, it's still HD, but non 4K.
Oh, 4K,
You know,
non 4K.
and ever since, I honest to God, I haven't even really noticed much of a difference because 4K on streaming is. I mean, when it comes to Disney Plus, I have to disable my 4K on my TV so I don't run myself out of house and home with my
For
internet
data.
bill
Yeah.
for the data consumption, because it's insane how much
is
freaking
insane.
UK or how much 4K takes up.
It does.
But yeah,
That's
really.
why- yeah, that's why like for a lot of stuff I do drop it as well. Like if I'm just watching like a comedy, I'll drop it down. to non 4K. Because when you think about it, like streaming 4K is not this. It's not true 4K, and it never. It's as we don't have the
physical media, isn't it?
Yeah, physical media is by far superior. I don't care what anyone says. Like when you have a 4K player and a 4K disc, you can, if you put that side by side with streaming 4K, you will see the difference. It's plain and simple. True 4K is, and we can only achieve that right now with physical media.
And what kind of sucks is, like, for example, I was thinking of 4K just because you mentioned it. Well.
Yep.
Yeah. When I was on the yes, much love to H-Bards. Was the one thing that sucks about Crave up here is the fact that Crave only goes up to 720p.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wait, so you didn't even see the Snyder cut in
No, that's
HD?
why I'm waiting for the disc.
Wow.
Oh,
Wait,
dude, I'm gonna tell you this right now. It's
early?
so dark and gray and bleak. You don't miss anything.
Oh, shut up.
It is such a dark movie.
It's the same movie.
It feels like you're It feels like
here
you're
we
watching
go.
it through a foggy lens. Like, have you ever watched a movie in a smoky room? That's like watching the Snyder cut. It's just like, oh, what's going on? I can't tell. Is that gal's face or a nipple? I don't know what's going on. It's so dark.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not my problem.
I think a real
Perfect.
I nicotinaed you.
And turn up the saturation a little bit.
I Andre'd you.
No, I acquired a copy of that movie as soon as I get my hands on it. So, you know,
Is everyone ordering it?
Yeah.
I'm
4K?
surprised I'm passing.
Hold that on my birthday. I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, you get in here, Josh.
I'm gonna get the 4K set of all three when I can. I want to get the full Snyder trilogy because that's the last we're gonna get. So I want to make sure I got the box set.
Yeah, I got Man of Steel in 4K, and I got the BVS remaster in 4K, so I'm good.
Well, I do have the BVS remaster in 4K because it was a solid price. Like, it was a real solid price when it came out.
I think it's mixed quieter. I think that the disc is mixed quieter.
As of right now, I am in the middle of watching. So me and Jarbo had asked me to do it, so we could talk about it. I'm currently watching the Craig Bond films, and so far I'm pretty fucking. I'm digging it. I'm digging.
Which one are you on?
Solace is the best.
First one. I'm in the middle of the first one. I literally just started today.
Okay.
The first one, whatever
it's
called.
okay. So here's what I want you to do, and I mean this, and maybe someone here.
Work. He thinks this is gonna work.
This was an interesting idea. I like it
because you know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want you to set aside a block of time, and when you finish Casino, immediately start Quantum.
Yes.
Immediately start Quantum.
That's what you told me to do. That's why I stopped it.
Yeah, that is the best course of action to do.
You know what I think that actually works out well for as well, interestingly enough, is Force Awakens and Last Jedi, because they're also back to back like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I would like that better if I watched it like that, because I haven't seen it like
it literally does. I need to try that myself. It does take place. A lot of people forget. Last Jedi does take place immediately after Force Awakens. Like, you literally see, the Resistance is leaving. Rey hands Luke the saber. Like, it's right after.
And yet we still never got a Han Solo funeral scene.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Did they do it? Yes, I know.
Not in the movie. They did it in the book. And in the book, all it was Leia walks off to the woods and thinks about Han. That was it. She says goodbye. That's about it.
They don't do funerals and
funeral and stuff like that.
They do funerals.
They gave a funeral to effing Leia in Rise of Skywalker, and
that's right.
There was the the funeral scene, the burning of the body scene.
Movie. Interesting.
We didn't get a funeral scene really for Padme, but we got something.
No, we got
a funeral scene. Yes, right. Yeah, we did get it. Yeah, all right. So they've done funeral scenes.
In a funeral for Qui-Gon Jinn.
So then they don't. It looks like she's died with the twins in her.
Yeah. So they just put sawdust in there.
Yeah.
I still remember in the summer of '99 when Phantom Menace was just about to open, and the soundtrack came out for the Phantom Menace, and one of the tracks on the track was called Qui-Gon's Funeral, and everyone's like, "Well,
this is going to turn out well."
That's always the problem. Yeah, that's always the problem. You can't watch out for that. Those pesky spoilers.
Not to brand a theme, the spoiler. But then in The Rise of Skywalker, they did exactly that again. So
well, another thing that I thought of was something that was brought to my attention was this is unrelated to Star Wars. You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
yeah,
Okay, because I'm seeing all the loading circles for a bunch of people on my panel. Is the fact that there's a game that just came out for PS5 and PS4 called Scarlet Nexus, and there's an anime that is basically came out around the same time, or like just came out recently. Apparently, there are spoilers in the first episode for hours deep into the playthrough, and so it's like, why would you do that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what always sucked was when Snape killed Dumbledore, and my friend came to work and told me about it like the day the book came out, and he didn't even like mess around. He didn't even hesitate. He wasn't even like a joke. We're sitting there and I'm all like, "Hey man, did you get the book?" And he just looks at me. He's like, "Snape kills Dumbledore." And I'm like, "What the hell?" And he goes like,
Spider-Man dies in an Infinity War meme, but in real life.
Yeah, it was. I was like, "What?" And he's all, "It was spoiled for me. I'm going to spoil it for you." I'm like, "Wow, you're an adult."
I remember there were T-shirts. Do you remember that? People were wearing T-shirts that said "Snape kills Dumbledore."
No, not. Did you see? Yes, they did. They also went out to the events, the midnight book launches, and they were dressed like Potter fans, and they had megaphones, and they were just like. They were just going out there. Snape kills Dumbledore. No, because the book leaked online early. I'm not kidding you. Yeah. There's one video where I hate to laugh at this woman's like frustration, but I just think her reaction was so funny. So it's like these people are walking along the street and they're going to the bookstore, and the car drives by and the guy just yells out, "Snape kills Dumbledore," and you just hear a woman go, "No, you bitch!" And but just the way she reacted, the visceral, guttural reaction to that spoiler was so funny.
It's like that. It's like.
By the way, I just want to shout out to H Parts again. Yes. What is OHMSS?
It's Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Okay. Wow, you're going way Lazenby's Bond movie.
Yeah.
It was good, but I miss Connery. Also, Ty, what do you think of Elmo
on Her
wanting
Majesty?
To get up to put a disc in? I think that's the most ridiculous thing. To get up to put a disc in. I'm sure he gets up to go pee. Why can't he get up to put a disc in, huh? Come on, Elmo, huh? But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I remember years ago, I had a friend who bought the whole series of ER on DVD, and I think you had to flip the disc. Like it was like, you had 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And he was so angry because he said, "Why should I have to get up to flip the disc? I don't want to have to do that." And I said, "It's 5 hours, man. Aren't you going to pee? Aren't you going to get food? Like you're going to be on that couch for 6 hours? That getting up once in a 5-hour span is a problem?"
Yeah.
Never underestimate someone's laziness.
This guy clearly never had laser disc, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember my first the first DVD I ever bought was the first edition of Stargate, the movie, and that's where they had side 1 and side 2, so I had to flip it halfway through.
Yep.
And I was not happy about that, but I still did it. But I was really happy because I had a 3-disc DVD changer at the time. Back when those were a thing.
Were popular.
Yeah. 8-track too?
No, I never had the 8-track. But ended up I got the Indiana Jones trilogy, and I just put 1 movie in each disc, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm good for a while. I don't have to get up or do nothing,
Dude, I forgot about disc changers.
Wow.
In those, how those worked. Yeah.
My friend had a 50-disc CD changer.
What?
Back in the day, and I'm like,
there's no such thing.
There is. Oh yeah, there is.
I need proof.
And I'm just going like, how would you remember what's in what? And 2, who has that many CDs? Because they were like really expensive at the time. But
you were renting them bad boys.
Do you remember when the first MP3 players came out?
Yeah.
And it was like it was just in like the battery power on them are terrible. They ran on CDs.
Yeah.
Sony.
It would have been better if they ran on solar, honestly.
Probably, yeah. I remember when I used to I had my old '87 Mercedes and I had the tape deck and I put in a little cassette tape adapter so I could plug it into my iPod.
The wire, yeah. I had a Cutlass Supreme and I had the that same exact thing, and those wires would last maybe like 2 months and then they would start to crack, 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 crack.
Well, what's always terrible though is like I had a Sony Discman and it was stolen out of my car.
Oh,
And back then that was like the worst thing possible because those things were freaking expensive.
they were super.
And it was my
expensive.
fault for not taking it out, obviously.
Yep.
But it was just
I
like,
remember when you had to take your tape, the whole set out and bring it in your house.
People walking around with them.
Yeah, if you had after stock radios, like people would pull them out and bring them in, like the whole.
or
the whole front
then
of
they,
it.
they said, oh, let's take out the faceplate. So
Yes,
then the
yes,
faceplate's
take out-
gone.
yep.
And then like kids today, they don't even know. All right. Like we had to use actual cigarette lighters to light our cigarettes back then.
Cigarettes, yeah.
You know,
Dude, me and my mother. Oh my god, me and my mother were. Dude, you just brought back such a good memory. Thank you.
of you sitting there chain smoking with your mom.
With my mom, with the fucking.
I've done that.
Lighter cigarette.
I've done that.
Thank you for that, man.
Funny cigarette lighter card, and I took the little thing because you plug it in to charge your phone or whatever, like the little thing. I took it out and I put it on my finger.
Yeah, you burned yourself.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Why would you?
You're just an idiot.
11.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Shout out to H Barts, another $5 super chat because we love you, man. Elmo thought you needed internet for Blu-rays and 4K, and I'm like the duck. Thank you for using duck. Yeah, man, I totally agree.
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack.
You could have just used the asterisk, but I guess all right.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Well, remember when you did have internet connected like Blu-ray players and it would cycle through the new trailers because they would go through like just to get to the damn movie.
I don't.
You had like, well, okay, so remember VHS tapes.
Wait. Yes, I do.
So some of the ones earlier on would have like internet connection to them or whatever, and they would like that's the biggest problem with the home media is especially with DVDs and Blu-rays is they would always have those ads running before it. It'd be like coming soon to home video, a movie you don't give a crap about, but we're going to force you to watch a 2.5-minute trailer because F you, we already have your money.
Yep.
Right. At least with VHS, you could fast forward through them, but it always felt like the weirdest thing to have on home video was like previews on a movie. But then it's like, ever since going digital, it's like, I don't have that problem anymore.
Yep.
I'm like, cool.
No,
I'm good.
exactly. 100% digital. Because that was like, I remember the first DVD that I ever bought was it had.
What is this going to be?
It was the football movie where the guy was he was Radio Man. Sorry, it was Radio Man. It was the first DVD that I ever bought, and there was
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, that was the first DVD I ever bought. I bought it from Blockbuster. Yes, Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I bought it from Blockbuster.
All right.
I remember going to Blockbuster, and then the pizza place was next door because I love that pizza.
With Domino's?
It was not. It was a mom and pop. But I bought Radio Man and went home and watched it, and there's like 22 trailers before it. I loved it. Well, I mean, that's back when they did that. So yes, Jarbo, I do remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember when I worked at Hollywood Video back in '99. We had just gotten DVD players in.
Oh my god, I forgot about Hollywood Video.
Oh yeah, those were.
They were before Blockbuster, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
No, Blockbuster was before Hollywood Video. The difference between Blockbuster and Hollywood was Blockbuster was corporate, while Hollywood was all chain.
Okay, yeah.
So it was independent. So they were all independently owned, and that was actually the reason why Hollywood Video died before Blockbuster did. And but if I remember like having to drop down like $100 as a security deposit to rent a Blu-ray player, and I worked there.
Oh, what the fuck!
And then like I went home and I rented like The Great Escape. We had the DVD of The Great Escape.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Great.
I forget what else we had on DVD, but like I remember sitting there and watching those on an old just standard normal television, and you can't tell the difference. It looked a little bit better than VHS back in the day, but it's still just it was such a weird time.
It was a weird time in transition. Remember the big block, like the Sony Trinitrons that would like 200 pounds, and they were the big screens.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Trinitrons. They weigh.
Dude, what you know about that? How old are you?
I'm 29, dude. My dad was a mover, homie.
Wow.
Yeah. I used to go on moves with my father. He owned a moving company, and he would always. I remember always hearing and I would be there with him, and he would always be complaining about how much those things weighed.
Oh yeah.
'cause
I
you would have
never
everyone
understood
else-
why those
Yeah.
damn TVs weighed like 90 pounds.
And someone
Well, half of them,
Because-
some of them were made out of wood.
Yeah, because he owned a moving company. Sometime what we got a Trinitron, a Sony Trinitron given to us because the owner of the house was like, I don't want that thing anymore. Take it. So we took it home. It was in our basement for many, many years. And yeah, that's the Trinitron for all you youngins. Look it up. Look it up.
Holy cow, dude.
Yep. The Sony
Sounds
Trinitron.
like a new transformer.
I
Literally-
remember, yeah.
Dude, it was literally 200 pounds. There
Oh
was
yeah,
a
no, they're
base
massive.
on
I
it.
know.
The screen on it was like vinyl almost. It was so weird. But yeah,
I used to have a 27-inch Apex standard television, and that was something I bought. Like I like the Apex brand. I don't know what they are now, but like the generic stuff basically.
yeah.
And then I remember I was playing Xbox, like my Xbox 360. And it's like, all right, like, you know what? It doesn't look as good as it could look on there. It could be a lot better, but I need something that's like 720p and I need it to work. And I went on Craigslist and I found a guy selling a 720p 19-inch Samsung monitor for like $60. And I bought it off him. And then I spent another $30 and I bought the Xbox VGA cable adapter. And then I just routed my sound into my little dinky $25 like stereo set I had in my room. And I built this like little 720p thing, but it was like watching it like brand new for the first time, because it just looked so much better. And that was just in 720.
Right.
The good old days of trying to get the good, now it's like now my cell phone has an OLED screen.
Right. Right. Dude, my cell phone, I have 5 TVs in my house. My cell phone has a better screen than 3 of them. I think that's crazy, right? Because my 85-inch OLED is like the main television. Nothing will beat that until I go fucking 8K or whatever it's going to be. But yeah, I think that's crazy. Like my iPhone 12 has a better screen than 3 of my TVs in the house. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Like I just got a 55-inch Samsung recently, and I love that thing. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
But I still, every time I go to Costco, I see like their OLED, and it just like I feel like it's mocking me every time I walk in there. It's like, you want to buy me, Matt? I'm like, I can't fucking afford you.
Give in.
I can't afford you right now.
Sell your house. Sell your children. Buy me.
55-inch TCL.
Sell your children.
Sell your
The
children.
QLED that is a really solid.
TCLs. I like TCLs. I have a couple of them.
TCL's getting better, dude. TCL's
The
getting better.
QLED 5 series that I have the 5 series is actually quite good.
I have 5 TVs, and they're all different brands.
But I know exactly what Jarbo was talking about because there's a Best Buy a stone's throw from where I work. So I'll walk down there because occasionally I'll pick up some like physical 4Ks down there because they just don't have them usually like at the Walmart that's also close by.
Yeah.
So I'll go to Best Buy and I walk in and there's this gorgeous I think it might actually be like sort of a consumer grade 8K or something. It was like, at least 5, like it was like 5 digits to the price tag. I'm like,
was it Sony?
I think it was Samsung.
It's either Samsung or Sony that had.
And I was like, it's
the 8K.
beautiful. How much? No, I can't.
No, because you got to think about it. Because remember when the first 4K TV came out, it was the same deal, and then they had that stupid.
Everything is.
There was such a mistake when they came out with the 3D TV. I told every single person I know, do not buy one. Don't buy one. That is going to be obsolete within 12 minutes. And sure as shit, it was.
Like the Betamax?
That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen come out, was that 3D TV. I was like, don't waste your money. It was way too expensive. The third party equipment, like it was such a dumb idea.
I regret buying the 3D Blu-rays for stuff because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
a friend of mine did.
that. That's like do you have any capabilities to watching that in 3D, DL?
No.
No way, right?
No.
Where was I? I was at the Goodwill or something the other day, and they had I forget which movie it was, the 3D Blu-ray for like $2.
Do you do the hauls, right? Like the random haul, like
yeah, it's like the videos don't get a lot of views, so I can't really like justify dropping $20 a week on it or whatever.
Right.
Plus, what the hell am I gonna do with this most of the time? It's like
what was that movie that you got the other day at the dollar store?
The Belko Experiment?
No,
that's
no,
a good movie.
That's actually a good movie.
That was interesting.
You had like a random movie that you got from Dollar Store. It was like Dollar Store Haul, and it was like this random like D movie, like a B movie.
Dude, where's my car?
There's a bunch of them.
Okay.
No, Dude, Where's My Car will always hold a special place in my heart, but I won't repeat the story here on air. It's just
I'm laughing because it probably A, it sounds funny. B, I think you might have already told me this story. At some
no,
point.
I don't think. No, I don't really talk much about that particular story.
Actually, I do want to
obviously
talk.
there's
I do want to
something else
talk about this. Shri says, "I hate 3D. It gives me a headache every time." So, funny story about that is, with Black Widow. So Black Widow, me and my ex-girlfriend, who now hates me and dislikes every video of ours. Shout out to you, Madeline. Thank you for that. I know I broke your heart. I know. I'm sorry. Keep disliking the videos. But she made me go see Black Widow in 3D. She wouldn't go see it any other way, so we had to go see it in 3D. The first 15 minutes of the movie weren't in 3D, and it was messing with my eyes because the thing was messed up. The theater owner didn't push in the thing that makes it 3D. It's like a slit that goes over the projector.
Yeah.
And you have to push it in all the way and lock it in. It wasn't pushed all the way and locked in, or so I was told. So the first 15 minutes were all crazy. Until the Marvel logo came on screen, I could see people leaving the theater, and I was assuming that they were telling like the theater people like, hey, something's wrong, like it's not working. And then by the time like the opening sequence happens and it's over and the Marvel like logo finally comes up and they play that, it slapped into 3D, and it was actually pretty good in 3D. I'm not gonna lie.
The last 3D movie I saw was Doctor Strange, and that was
probably tight in 3D.
Yeah, that was really cool in 3D.
I think the last
Some
one I saw
movies can
was
pull it off. Some movies cannot.
Rise of
See,
Skywalker.
I'm not a
Maybe.
fan of 3D movies, but if you are going to do 3Ds, I want the gimmick. Like
What's
I
up,
want
Mikey
the
Sutton?
absolute gimmick. Like the best 3D movie I ever saw was Piranha 3D.
Oh,
We
dude,
had
I saw it, dude.
we had 3D wiener floating through the ocean, and then the fish ate it and then spit it up again. I'm like, this is what 3D's for.
Like,
That is
That's like, for example, when it comes to 3D televisions, there's only one movie I've ever wanted to own in 3D, and that's Jaws 3. That's it. Like
That's a horrible movie in 3D. The shark stops like in midair. It just stops.
is
It
that like
stops.
where it stops and then the glass? Yeah, I love
horrible.
it. I love it. It's so great.
Oh my
like
god!
the Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Spy Kids 3D.
Yes,
Best
dude.
3D
Yeah.
horror
That guy's
movie ever
running
made.
a Star Wars show now.
Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. For its time, was the best 3D movie out there. When he
I've
kills
not
that
seen
fool with
part
the
3. I
harpoon,
haven't seen part 3, but I need to.
oh, dude, they make it to where they know they're filming it in 3D. There's one scene where a guy's skull gets crushed and his eye pops out, and it pops out.
Oh, that probably looked amazing in 3D.
Yeah, it's great. You got to go
One
watch
of my
it.
favorite. I was thinking
I
of
said, 3D is
one of my
like a
favorites
dying
is part
art.
6.
I'm sorry,
like-
TW, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, one of my favorites is for Friday the 13th. One of my favorites is part 6. I love the part when the mom, like, when they're in the house, isn't the mom, I think, and, like, Jason's walking up the stairs, and she's just standing at the top of the stairs screaming at him,
Yeah.
like, no, and the daughter's like, no, stop screaming at him, let's leave. And she's like
Well, listen.
10 or something, you know, it's like, why are you standing here? We need to leave.
By the time you get to that movie, you've already suspended all disbelief.
Oh,
Like,
of course,
in
and that's
Friday
why I
the
love
13th.
it. That's why I love him.
Yeah. Why are you going? They're taking bodies out from Camp Crystal Lake, and you guys are driving to Camp Crystal Lake. Isn't there a problem there? Shouldn't we go
Yes.
somewhere else?
Take
And
it
why
easy,
do they
boss.
have to?
Agreed.
Why do they got to jump in the water as soon as they get there? Some strangers you're camping with, you barely know. One girl's got to get butt naked and get in that Camp Crystal Lake in that water immediately, within 10 minutes. So you have to suspend all belief when it comes to those
Oh,
movies.
yeah, of course.
That's
Absolutely.
what made them fun, though. I love those movies, man.
Oh, they're great.
I agree
Especially
with
the first
Adam
four.
here. 3D is very good in like so in Boston. We in one of our surrounding suburbs, really close, North Reading. There's a standalone IMAX.
Nice.
3D in IMAX is fantastic. It's awesome
Yeah. Like I
because
saw.
of the quality of the projectors
Oh yeah.
and the technology that they have with they have their own developed technology for 3D.
Yeah, I saw
the theaters use real D 3D.
Yeah, well, like I think it was, what was it? I think not the standalone one, but I did see, like, I think it was Force Awakens or something in IMAX 3D, which was awesome. Like, but I haven't had the opportunity to go to a standalone IMAX in a very long time.
We have one of 12 theaters in the world that have the capabilities of this theater. It's still, I looked it up because I thought it was because that was like it. It would play before the movie. It would tell you all about like why this theater is different, why it's the best, one of the best, yada, yada, yada. And I just checked the other day to make sure that information was still correct. And yes, it is. It's still one of 12 theaters in the world with the capabilities that it has. So it's dual 4K laser, but it's also got like butt kickers in the seats. And the audio is really what separates it from other theaters. It's also a 100-foot screen, so it's taller than the Green Monster.
Damn.
It's the most amazing theater you'll ever be to, and it's just it's insane. It's insane. So anyone from Boston and knows the North Reading Jordan's Furniture IMAX Theater, they will tell you that I'm absolutely 100% correct in saying that. I've seen every Marvel, every big movie there since they started coming out. It's the best way to see a movie. It's the only way to see a movie. And they only have one screen. That's how you know it's a good theater.
That's deep.
That is deep. But yeah, we're getting to the we're getting to that mark. We're at 2:16. So we're probably gonna start wrapping it up, guys. I just want to thank you all for being here. You guys are all amazing. Thank you guys for filling in on such short notice. Like that, how much that means to me to know that I have people that will just be like, yeah, all right, let's go right now.
I'm just a big whore. If you send me a link, I'm going to click it.
Yeah, same here.
No, but for real. And shout out to the chat. You guys have been amazing tonight. H Parts, everyone sent a super chat. You guys are the true heroes here. Not all heroes wear capes because Jarbo is here and he doesn't wear a cape and he's a hero. He's a hero in my mind. But guys, where can we find all? I know that was stupid.
No, see, I had to come back for that, but I can't say it because it's not my show.
All right, we'll say it after we end. Will you say it? Okay. William, where can we find you on the internet?
Just Google the SciFi Center. You're bound to find me.
Wait. I'm going to counter that because I tried to make a post on Twitter and I said at SciFi Center and it didn't pop up.
The SciFi Center.
Ooh, okay. So there it is.
There's a
at
difference.
the SciFi Center. Just like the Batman, the SciFi
Correct.
Center. All right. Dial, where can they find you on the internet?
Well, y'all can find me on the YouTubes at DL Vince, and I talk about movies and shows and everything in the nerd and geek culture. So, and you got my thing covered up. Okay, so people know who I am. It's DL Vince. If you guys want to check the stuff out, I talk about. Thank you. Yep, and you take it away. Yep. Thank you. Anyway, DL Vince, right there. So I talk about Marvel. I talk about DC, Disney, Star Wars, a whole bunch of stuff. So go ahead and check out my channel.
My man. All right, Crazy Joe, you were up next. Where can we find you on the internet?
Megapodtastic, megapodtastic.com.
Great show.
Megapodtastic here on YouTube. We do a live stream every Tuesday, but not this Tuesday because I'm packing for Dragon Con.
Woo!
And audio podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, every Friday.
All right. Who do we got next? Jarbo. There we go. Jarbo, I think everyone knows where they can find you on the internet already, but whatever.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do it.
I'm around.
Really, Jarbo? Come on, please.
That's yeah. I mean, like, I'm not streaming tonight, so you're not gonna find me there. But usually, most weekdays, Hollywood After Dark, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Pacific, whenever I can get around to it.
And his show is great. I often show up on it, which I've been asked not to anymore because I sacrifice my fucking sleep for it.
Me too, but it's my show.
Yes, but you gotta be there. But you know what? I'm gonna make it a healthy dose. I'm gonna pop in and I'm I'm going to do a 30 minutes, 40-minute thing and work it like that. I love Hollywood After Dark. He has one of the best audiences I've ever seen in my life. Jarbo has created such a great community, and I truly respect his show. I respect him and his knowledge for movies and all things film.
Thank you. See, William, I am right all the time about everything. Deal.
TW, where can they find you on the internet?
If y'all want to have a conversation with me, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit at TWMcKay34. TWMACKAY34.
And he often shows up on channels like Poindexter Lounge, Matt Jarbo. I don't know if you've ever been on Jarbo.
No, TW comes up to mine.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And
I'd
on
be excited.
here on the Pop Culture Corner, TW McKay is a regular. So you can always find him here as well. And finally, we get, what the hell? Yes, we get to me. I thought Austin was going to be back by now, but, apparently not. But thank you guys so much for showing up tonight. It was truly a pleasure. I had a fun night, even though it didn't go the way we planned. I'm glad we got to talk about some things. Shout out to the people that showed up. You guys really, though, thank you. You saved my ass tonight. Thank you. Guys, remember to always like the videos, share it on social media so your friends, family, and even enemies can watch along with you. You can also become a member by clicking that link, the join button, the link thing below. And then you can support the channel further by sending super chats, and we will bring them up and we'll talk about them. We do it for you. We do it for the culture. See you next time.